that have now lost access to abortion because of Trump to have access to abortion than for me to have access to TikTok. Or like the 10 million low-income Americans that lost access to healthcare because of his big, beautiful bill. I would prefer them to have access to healthcare than for me to have access to TikTok once again. So I feel like that's a really, really terrible point. But even before you gave me that argument, you said Trump 2028. So I just want to clarify here.
He should run. I'll agree with it.
He should run. Okay. All right. Awesome. Do you consider yourself to be a patriot?
JD. No, I agree. I think JD should run for 2028.
Okay, not Trump. So when you said Trump 2028, you're just kind of talking out of your ass. Well, feel free to give me a response to some of the things that I had to say there about that TikTok ban and him saving the app.
Well, a lot of people have jobs on TikTok. All these liberals complain about Trump taking away jobs. If he took out TikTok, a lot of people will lose their job.
Okay.
Well, it would affect you too.
Okay. Well,
Can't lie about that.
I mean, so you're actually the one that said he initiated the ban in the first place, and now you're the one saying that TikTok,
People change.
provides a lot of
People
jobs.
change
And then you brought up how liberals were complaining about him canceling jobs. I mean, first and foremost, the unemployment rate has been rising since the second administration begun. We now have more unemployed Americans than open job opportunities. But does this mean, in accordance with your own logic, that when Donald Trump initiated the TikTok ban, that you think Donald Trump was attempting to make people lose their jobs?
Well, actually, no. Tariffs help create jobs out there.
Okay. Okay. Well, now we're having a conversation about tariffs. No longer having a conversation about the TikTok ban. That would be a pivot. Now we could pivot to tariffs. That's fine.
Good. I mean, these are actual problems we should be focused on.
Yeah.
These people talking about this group chat. Hey, it's bad. I agree, but that's all they got on us. Listen.
Okay,
Let's talk about the tariffs.
So all that Democrats have on you is that you guys like to say you love Hitler.
No, I don't do that. No, I don't support that. But they're just children. They don't know any better. They need to grow up.
So first and foremost, they weren't just children. Second of all, children should know better than to say I love Hitler. And third of all, they were state representatives. They were 33 years old.
Did you hear what J.D. Vance replied to that? He said they're children.
Well, J.D. Vance is a fucking idiot. Well, the oldest person in the group chat was 33 years old.
Why are you calling the vice president stupid? Hold on, man. Hey.
I mean, didn't you call the president senile for 4 years straight?
Oh, you talking about Sleepy Joe?
Oh, yeah. All right. Awesome. Yeah. Sleepy Joe.
Listen, this is the thing. I know Trump's a little bit younger, but it's all about the cognitive function, bro.
Okay, and how much cognitive function, where do you think Donald Trump is at with his cognitive function, considering the fact that he denied the outcome of the 2020 election, then tried to convince people for 4 years straight that he won and Biden had lost, even though there's no evidence to indicate that that was true. How do you feel about his cognitive function, considering the fact that he said windmills cause cancer, windmills are causing whales to die in numbers we've never seen before, coal is clean, he was a man of Michigan 30 years back, human-caused climate change isn't really real and the scientists just don't know it yet, so on and so forth. You understand that we literally had one of his advisors during his first presidential administration come out a year ago and say that Donald Trump doesn't know the difference between what is true and what is false. He just says whatever he wants to say and he treats it as truth. And if anybody checks him on it, then they have an issue. And if they don't, well, then they just kind of let it slide.
Okay, 1, I did not ask for a Yappuccino. 2, he's exposed Tylenol. There's been a lot of bad things that's happened to it. I mean, look. He is trying to decrease autism. That's good. That's a good thing. Okay. RFK Jr. has banned artificial food dyes within 100 days. Yeah. We care about the health of this country. We are known to have processed foods everywhere. McDonald's, Burger King. We support that for profits, bro. They don't care about the health of the people. All this fast food junk. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We're doing a change in that.
First point about Tylenol. Do you have any evidence to demonstrate that Tylenol causes autism?
Well, I mean, RFK has studied medicine a lot, and
actually, RFK's explicitly said to not take medical advice from him.
Well, yeah, but this is Tylenol, though. He knows specifically Tylenol.
Okay, so what's the evidence that Tylenol causes autism?
Well.
Oh, yeah, there's none. The American Medical Association did a study on it, and they found that when you account for siblings and genetics, that there's no link between the usage of Tylenol during pregnancy and autism in our youth.
But how do you know they're right about that? How do you know they're right?
Oh, well, it's because it's a peer-reviewed study done on over 1 million kids in Scandinavia, I believe, right? So I mean, if you want to dispute like applying the scientific method from like an incredibly like esteemed and reputable institution of medicine or science, I mean, it's literally the American Medical Association on like
You know
over
what?
a million children, and like you're still questioning like the soundness
You know what?
of
You're
their
right.
discovery.
You're right.
Well,
You know what?
then
You're
like
right.
once again, what the hell is your evidence that Tylenol does cause
right,
autism?
bro.
Because I'd assume that your evidence is like what Donald Trump saying it.
Well, it's like a doctor. I get a prescription. I don't ask them what the heck's it made of. They just recommend it to me, and I just take it. You know what I mean? Because I expect them to know that.
Okay, so
I
you
expect
trust
all
the medical health
people to know
professionals.
it.
So who are the medical health professionals? The American Medical Association or Trump?
Medical Health Association.
Okay, so
like I said,
so
you're
then
right
you trust
about
that there's no link
I
between
agree with you.
Tylenol and autism.
I agree
Awesome.
with that. You're right, bro.
Awesome.
Listen, I feel
Awesome.
like a lot of our people don't actually do enough research, and you're true. You're right about that. We should do our research. And A, you're right about that. There is no proof on Tylenol. I just assumed because, they're elected officials, right?
Yeah, which is kind of like the issue. You know what I mean? That's like the really big issue is we have a president that's going to like go out and do a press conference to millions of people saying, Tylenol causes autism and vaccines in baby. Don't do it. Badly bad. Too much liquid. He's laughing at that, but that's exactly what he did. And then you're like, oh, yes, Tylenol causes autism. But then like the medical health professionals are like, oh, no, like it doesn't at all. And we have like the evidence to prove it. So I don't know. Like, man, that's like one
No one's
really big
really
reason why
talking
you
about
shouldn't
that.
support
Most
Trump
of
as
your people-
president.
Most of your people like, complain about him not saying the word acetaminophen. Not really what you said. Most people complain about how he said the word.
Well, I mean, I think that there's a lot of complaint about a lot of complaint about with Trump. Do you consider yourself to be a patriot?
Hell yeah.
Big time patriot? Do you think that liberals are patriots?
I have one liberal as a patriot. One liberal's a patriot.
One liberal. Okay.
Kite Chick. Kite Chick's my patriot. What up, Kite Chick? She's my patriot. I love her.
No clue who that is. So you say like usually like Democrats, liberals, they're like not patriotic. They're anti-American. So why do you think that like leftists, liberals,
No,
Democrats?
now listen. Liberals are not anti-American. I just don't like ones that judge how I look and sound. Those are the ones I don't like. I think people should hate you based like by how what you can't change. They shouldn't judge you for. A lot of people judge me for that stuff. I don't like people like that.
Okay, listen,
Like,
I could actually agree to that. I could agree to that.
I mean, there's a lot of people like that though. You know what I mean? Like a bunch of people come up to me and call me names and don't actually educate me like you're trying to educate me. I feel like there should be more people like you, Dean. A lot of people aren't like that.
Okay. And I could agree, right? It's like wrong to like make fun of like the way that people speak, the way that they look, etc., so on and so forth. You understand that Donald Trump has done exactly that. He made fun of a disabled reporter back in 2020, I believe.
Did he?
Yeah. He like went on stage and like visibly made fun of them. Yeah.
Oh wait. Oh, he said it was an exaggeration. He said he didn't mean exactly that person. That's what he said. He said it wasn't meant for him. He was just doing the body language.
Oh,
You hear that?
so he was just trying to like scapegoat accountability. He like walked it back afterwards and didn't like own up to it.
Well, that's what he
Jeez.
said. He
Yeah.
said he didn't mean the.
Well, I mean, he also said he didn't rape E. Jean Carroll, even though unanimous jury of 9 determined it. I think he lies a lot. Well,
Oh, I got
Times
something to say
reported
about that.
that
Couldn't
he
find
lied
out
over
the year it
30,000
happened.
confirmed times in his first term alone.
But Eugene Carroll didn't know the exact year it happened though.
Actually, she did in 1996. I don't know why people say that because it's just not true.
There's an article. If you look it up, you'll see an article on it.
Okay. Well, if you read the court documents, right, the reason why we know the year is because she testified to it. But also, I want to inform you that not knowing the exact year when it occurred isn't like sufficient reason to discount the evidence suggested inside of the court to prove
I
that
know
Donald
what you
Trump
mean.
raped
Yeah,
her,
well, too.
right?
You
Because
understand what
traumatic suppressing of memories is like a real thing, especially for victims of grape. And there's not like one way for a victim of grape to act. In fact, acting as if there is to discount the testimony of grape victims is just perpetuating rape culture.
You know what? Maybe you're right.
Right. And
You're right.
if we want to take like not knowing things, right, as like evidence to suggest that the testimony of somebody's unreliable, well, then should we take Donald Trump not knowing that he like ever met E. Jean Carroll as a part of his testimony is unreliable because E. Jean Carroll and her attorney responded to his claim in court that he never met her by supplying a picture of them to get them together?
Well, she wasn't his type, though. He said he wasn't his type.
But then he
likes-
confused a picture of her for a picture of his ex-wife. So was his ex-wife not his type?
Wait, what?
Yeah, he said that E. Jean Carroll's not my type. And then when he was being deposed by the court, right, he was given a picture of E. Jean Carroll. And then he's like, oh, is this my ex-wife, Marla Maples? Wait, is that her name? I don't think that's her name. Is that her name?
That didn't happen. I swear to God.
I think that is her name. Yeah, no, he did say that. He did say, "Is that my ex-wife Marla Maples?"
Freaking. All right. You
So
got
I have
it.
a question. Do you think that his ex-wife was this type?
Oh, all right, all right. He did it. Listen, I believe people should have a second chance.
Okay. So you think that Donald Trump? Do you see the flag that you just got?
All right, I'm gonna chill out.
Do you want to read the name of that flag off?
Misinformation, bro.
Yeah, yeah. You just got a flag for misinformation.
What did I say?
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, that's really funny. Okay, so then you just accepted that he did it, and then you're like, "Well, I think individuals should have a second chance." Okay, right? So you think that
Well,
we should
just-
give a literal
all right, well,
rapist a
then
quote unquote
somebody
second
did it
chance and
then.
allow them to be the president of the United States of America? But if somebody commits a misdemeanor, right, then they shouldn't be given any chance at all, and we should like illegally deport them without due process and send them to a center for terrorists in El Salvador, right? Because that's what
What'd you
Donald
say?
Trump did to Abrego Garcia, and that's what Donald Trump does want to do to all undocumented immigrants. And you just asked what I said. I'll go ahead and repeat it. So you said, well, you agree that Donald Trump's a rapist, but we should give a literal rapist a second chance, and we should make that rapist the president of the United States of America. But if like a hardworking, contributing like person in this country commits a misdemeanor of undocumented entry, no second chances at all, right? We need to like rip them away from their family, like ICE is like forcing like naked children in the backs of U-Haul vans in Chicago, and then we need to illegally deport them without due process, like the Trump administration did to Abrigo Garcia, to CICA in El Salvador, which is a literal torture prison for terrorists, right?
I mean, ICE is, the most part, doing a great job taking out the illegal aliens. I agree on that.
What happened to second chances? So a rapist gets a second chance, but a hardworking, contributing immigrant doesn't get a second chance if they're undocumented.
No, immigrants are fine. Illegal aliens are the ones that we need out because they came here illegally. Immigrants.
Wait,
are
why
good.
shouldn't
They're
we?
not-
Why shouldn't we give undocumented immigrants, not illegal aliens, a second chance?
Well, immigrants have a green card. They came here illegally. They did the steps to get here.
I'm
They
talking,
shouldn't
I'm,
be.
I'm talking about undocumented immigrants, individuals that came into this country illegally. Why shouldn't we give them a
they
second
should-
chance? Like you want to give Donald Trump a second chance, even though you just agreed that he's a literal rapist. What's worse, being a rapist or being an undocumented immigrant?
Doesn't the Democrats fund them, illegal aliens?
Well, we could talk about funding after you answer my question because this is
What?
this is an attempted pivot on your end.
What's the question?
So if you think that we should give a literal rapist a second chance, then why don't you think we should give undocumented immigrants a second chance?
Well, there's risk of violence. You don't want violence in this country.
I'm so sorry. Do you think that an adjudicated rapist is at risk of violence?
Depends on the person.
Depends on the person. Oh my God. Okay. So when it's a misdemeanor of undocumented entry, a victimless, non-violent, non-felon offense, okay, predisposed to violence, right? But when they're a literal rapist, all of a sudden it depends on the person. I'm so sorry. Just what the fuck are you? What the hell are you saying?
I mean, Joe Biden sniffs people. Remember that?
Joe Biden sniffs people. Oh yeah, so I did see a clip of him smelling his granddaughter's hair,
Yeah,
right,
remember that?
at her father's funeral to ensure that she smelled good, right? I'm so sorry, right? If you think that is comparable or worse in any sense to raping a woman, to going on Howard Stern's radio show and boasting about perving on the naked bodies of teens like Donald Trump did in 2005, right? To being a 34 count felon, to saying that he thinks a 10-year-old is sexually attractive, to hitting on his own daughter, saying he'd date her if he wasn't her daughter, right? If you think that's comparable or worse, right, to any of those examples and more, like being best buddies with Epstein and sending him a letter depicting the body of a naked girl with the statement, "May ever do day be another wonderful secret," I'm sorry, but you're just delusional.
I mean, legally, you cannot be president if you have a felony. So it's all a hoax.
According to what law?
The United States law.
Okay, which one? Which one prevents felons from being presidents? No,
Whatever Trump said.
no clue. No clue which one. So you
I have a clue. It's just
so-
I have it in the back of my head. It takes
Right.
time, you know?
Well, so this mysterious law that you
Okay,
can't name, do you agree
yeah.
with it? Do you agree with like the premise that felons shouldn't be able to be president?
Well, no, they shouldn't be president, obviously, because, they've done a lot of crime. You shouldn't want people who do crime to be president, obviously.
Okay, didn't you accept like 30 seconds ago that you agree that Donald Trump is a rapist?
You know what? You're right. J.D. Vance would have been a better pick. I know what you're saying.
So obviously the implication there would be that you don't think Donald Trump should be president, since you don't think individuals that
Well,
commit
all
crime
he
should be
had,
president. You agree that
Randall
Donald Trump is a
Kamala.
rapist. I'm so
We
sorry.
had two choices.
Right, we had Kamala Harris, right, the non-rapist, the non-criminal.
She was a prosecutor. She put illegal people in jail.
Right, she prosecuted crime. Right, shouldn't this just make her a better candidate in your mind since you're so tough on crime? Well, unless it's Trump, of course.
Well, she's a prosecutor. She put not illegal. She put innocent people behind bars.
She put
I don't think
innocent
that would be
individuals
good.
behind bars. Do you think that she tried to put innocent individuals behind bars?
Yeah, there's been an interview of one of them. They talked about it. She had a little smoke.
Okay, so go ahead and give me evidence that Kamala Harris wanted to put innocent people behind bars.
There's an interview online of one of the people she prosecuted.
So this is
She
very
talked
vague.
about it. Well, it's vague. It's been like a year since I've seen it, but I know I've watched it before.
Who's the interview with?
Oh my God, how would I know that? It's been a year.
Can you give me
I'm just saying, if you
any
look it up,
information
you'll-
about the interview whatsoever?
It's been a year.
Okay, so you can't give me any information. Okay, you can't give me any information about the interview whatsoever. So just to wrap back, so you said Donald Trump's not a felon because if he was a felon, then he wouldn't be able to be president. And then I was like, well, that's actually not true. Felons can serve as president. But then you said that you actually agree with the notion of felons not being able to become president. So let's just get this clear. If Donald Trump was a convicted felon, then would you still support him as president, given the fact that you think felons shouldn't be able to be president in the first place?
I don't like felons, bro. I don't like felons. I don't fuck with those.
So-
Felons are not cool. We shouldn't put a felon. Yeah, I agree. You shouldn't put them in office.
So if Donald Trump was a felon, then you would take that hat off and you no longer be MAGA.
Oh yeah, pick Trump if he's a felon.
Do you like Fox News?
I'll watch it when they kill him that. JD Vance when he goes up when he talks at the interview.
Can you read that?
Trump is the best president. No, I'm just kidding. Trump guilty on all counts of New York criminal. Wait, how is that real? Or is that edited?
This is a real article by Fox News.
Why would they do that?
Why did they make this article?
Why would Fox News do that?
I'll show you, right? Because of this. This is a verdict form from a New York court that you can actually find on NYGov, nycourts.gov. And this is just the first page, of course. There's another 2 pages on it. But this is where a unanimous jury of 12 inside of a criminal court found him guilty on all these felony counts. So you told me, right, if you knew that he was a felon, then you'd stop supporting him as president. I just gave you a reporting from Fox News to corroborate the verdict form that I just showed you from a New York criminal court. And are you now going to take that hat off? Or are you now no longer going to be MAGA?
Wait. No! I swear to God, he's innocent. Whoa, are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. This is...
Whoa. They said, bro, people said it was a hoax.
Right. But just because somebody says something doesn't make it true.
But who said that?
Who said what?
Who said that when someone says it's not true, it makes it true? Who said that?
Okay, so I'm not saying that when somebody says it's not true, it makes it true, but I'm saying that the evidence I just provided you, such as the verdict form from the jury, makes it true.
Well, okay, so, all right, well, he's a felon. But what other reasons why he shouldn't be president? I mean, it's just one, like I said,
I mean, you told me that if you knew he was a felon, then you would take that hat off and you would redact your support from Trump today.
yeah, but Kamala, though.
But Kamala is how you pronounce her name. Yeah, she would have been a great president.
Let me ask you, who should be the 2028 candidate?
Completely irrelevant to our conversation.
But you got two choices. You got Trump and you got Kamala. What do you-
I mean, so we just agree to... So, 1 second. Before we even move on, you told me that if you knew Donald Trump was a felon, then you would take that hat off and stop supporting him.
Wait, bro. Fine.
Did you have another hat on under that one?
Hell yeah, I got a hat on my hat.
Why do you have a hat under your hat?
You know what?
Why do you have a hat? Why are you wearing 2 hats? Like, what inspired you to do that? Like, you had no.
my style.
What?
My style, bro.
It's your style. It's your style.
Listen, man, it's tough out here, bro. It's like I'm in Louisiana. I'm in Baton Rouge. People love Trump where I'm at. I just want to make friends, agree with them. That's all. Shit.
I'm literally about to cry. Why didn't he have two hats on? Oh my god. Okay. All right. Listen. My friend Santana texted me. I'm just gonna read this text off to the chat. Santana says, "Holy shit! I've been waiting to smoke this guy. I've tried to get up on his live to debate him, but he won't let me up." Well, I mean, it looks like he met his reckoning today. I mean, he literally just threw his MAGA hat off. So you redact your support from Trump?
Listen, man, I agree, man. A lot of our people's a little dumb, bro. But hey, you gave me the evidence, and shit, Fox News, damn, I saw they like Trump.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess I'm gonna move on to the next guest. You have a good one.
You too, bro.
All right. We're gonna get that next guest up here. I've seen a lot of comments like spammed in the chat as well as over on YouTube saying that he's a troll. Dude, I swear to you. I watched his live before I went live myself, right? I looked at his videos. I genuinely do not think that he is a troll, okay? I genuinely do not think it's a bit. We are going to go ahead and move on to the next guest. If you happen to be one of the 14,000 people hanging out with us in the stream here for the day, guys, go ahead and hop in that queue for me if you support Donald J. Trump as president, and we will get you loaded in and connected to the live. Moving the fuck on. All right. What's up? Do you support Trump?
What's up?
Do you support Trump?
How you doing?
Doing all right.
So, I wouldn't say I'm a Trump supporter, but I would vote for him if it was between Kamala and Trump.
Okay, awesome. And how old are you?
I'm 18.
What year were you born in?
2007.
Great. Let me thank three people. Then I'll pass you the mic. Nicole, thank you so much for the $2 over on PayPal. I appreciate you for that love. Nicole says, Dean, in your opinion, do you think we're ever going to hold on to our democracy? Will we even have the midterms? I think that we will. I think that Donald Trump is obviously going to try to find a way to prevent that, but I'm an optimist, and I think that he'll fail. As well as Jessica, thank you so much for the $5 over on Venmo as well. I appreciate you, Jessica. And Isabel, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo. Isabel with the $10 says, "Hey, I appreciate why you do so much, and I love watching you. One of the people I knew as a kid told me that they were paid by the Democrats to be at No Kings. What do I say about that? That's so ridiculous. Call them a liar to their goddamn face." Appreciate you for the $10, Isabel. Appreciate everyone so much for all the love. As well as Brandon, appreciate you for the $5 on YouTube Super Chat. And Courtney, appreciate you for joining the channel team over on YouTube as well. And for everybody in the chat spamming who didn't vote, I do know that. I mean, we're close to a year, right, from after the last election. There's going to be people that have turned 18 in the last year that still think he's good for the country. I'd be limiting myself and limiting the prerogative and success of the stream if I specifically limited it to people that did vote. But Jackson, go ahead and take it away. I want to start off by asking you for this argument. Could you give me an argument to demonstrate that if Kamala Harris had won the election, then things would be worse off in this country today?
Low key, I really came to ask you a question, if that's all right.
Okay, well, you waited very patiently, so I'll let you ask a question.
Yes, sir. No, for me personally, I still think Trump is a dickhead, but I don't know. It's really the question on the No Kings protest that's going on right now. I think it's pretty stupid. You know what I mean? Because we don't have a king. We have a president that is doing. I think he's been doing all right. You know.
Yeah.
And so all these people are gathering around. And
what we have is a wannabe all-powerful leader that doesn't want to follow the rules, but rather wants to disregard them. It should scare the shit out of you that he's not only called himself king, but has explicitly declared war in American cities, deployed the military in those cities, and then given that military an illegal directive to arrest people on the streets of those cities, even though that violates the Posse Comitatus Act of the 19th century. It should also scare you that he's infringed on the First Amendment by saying it's illegal to criticize him in the media, used the executive branch of the American government to get Jimmy Kimmel silenced, canceled, and thrown off air, and then when he was brought back on air, once again threatened with the force of the executive branch to turn around and sue them to get him kicked off again. It should scare the shit out of you that he literally said, and I quote, "I'm taking your free speech away," when he attempted to ban the burning of the American flag, even though SCOTUS ruled that is protected under the First Amendment in 1987. And it should scare the shit out of you that he's launched an attack on the Second Amendment, the 14th Amendment, and the 22nd Amendment too. I mean, I think that, all these reasons and more are why we saw over 7 million people globally go out yesterday and protest, making it the largest single-day protest in the history of this country.
Yeah, and I can for sure see like most of those viewpoints. The main thing I'd like declaring war on American cities, but I think isn't the main goal is just to stop crime and promote peace. Like the people that I've seen that actually live in those cities have had nothing but good things to say about it. That I've seen personally. I don't know. I just don't understand how that's a bad thing.
The only way
Stopping
that like
crime?
military in these cities would be able to stop crime is to commit a crime. Like tell me, and I'll explain to you what I mean by that. And my explanation will be given to you after you answer this question. How are the military in those cities going to stop crime?
I really don't know. I mean, I've just heard nothing but good things about it.
So you don't know how they're going to try to achieve that goal? Right. You haven't heard nothing but good things about it. You literally saw 7 million people protest because of the bad things about it yesterday.
But if like they don't like I've seen the interviews, they don't know what they're protesting for. They're saying no kings, but like he's not a king. He's a president, and I just don't understand. Like
I
they're waving around
I
flags.
literally just told you, and like you didn't listen.
But they're waving around
He's
flags.
designating good American citizens as terrorists. Okay,
They're
is
waving
that not a
around flag-
problem?
No, but they're waving around flags with countries that actually have monarchies, talking about no kings. But it's just like they're supporting all these countries that actually do have kings.
Okay,
I just don't really understand.
then go take that up with whoever was doing that. Obviously, right? You came on here to talk to me about why individuals got out yesterday and protested, and I told you.
For sure.
Right? It's because once again, for the last time here, Donald Trump is not a president that wants to play by the rules. He's a wannabe all-powerful dictatorial leader who wants to set the rules.
All right. Well, I appreciate your answer. I just wanted to hear what you had to say.
Okay. Anything else?
No, sir. You have a good one.
All right. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next guest here, you guys. Go ahead and hop in that queue for me if you happen to be MAGA. We're going to get you pulled up for the 14.2 thousand people hanging out with us in the stream for the day. Appreciate you guys for being here. As well as Victoria, thank you so much for the 50 Canadian dollars over on YouTube. I want to see 500 Victoria W. Shut up one moment. One moment, sir. I didn't mean to tell you to shut up. That was a little bit hostile.
You're so disrespectful, bro. What the fuck?
Deadass, just give me a second to finish reading off Victoria's message.
Okay,
I'd appreciate
whatever.
that.
Hail Hitler, I guess.
What the fuck? All right, we're just gonna go and kick him and finish Victoria's message here. Victoria with the 50 Canadian dollars says, as a Canadian, your and Parker's lives make me think that not all people are crazy, but have to deal with the crazy. Listen, Victoria, we're all in it together. The craziness of the Trump administration is extending beyond America. Like Per's threats to annex, Canada. I appreciate you for being here, and thank you for the 50 Canadian dollars. Please, please, please show some love to Victoria in that chat. And what's up, Ray? Do you support Trump?
Hi, I'm 18, and I don't, but my dad does, and he wants to debate you.
Okay.
There you go.
How's it going, man?
Hey, it's going all right. What's your name?
My name's Ahab.
Could you repeat that one more time for me?
Ahab.
All right. Well, do you want to tell us why you support Trump?
I think a lot of the things that he's doing are good for the country.
Okay. Like what things?
One, creating a smaller government, reducing government spending. The way those funds can be more acclimated toward, cities and places that could actually use it.
Okay.
As far as what he's doing with the task force, I live in Memphis, and just like the gentleman before, I love it. The city loves it. There's a bit of conflict, in the midst of it, but we love it here. We need it.
Yeah, I mean, don't you think that deploying the military in American cities kind of contradicts that first point of creating a smaller government?
No, I mean the military's here, but they're not doing anything.
Okay. All right. Right. Well, if they're not doing anything, then why do you love it?
Why do I love the? What do you mean?
I mean, you just said that you really like it. You think it's an awesome, huge plus, but then you told me that they're not doing anything. So if they're not doing anything, then you think that our government is just wasting the taxpayers' dollars on funding them and paying their salaries, paying their hourly wages for them not to do anything. I mean, the second point you gave was reducing government spending, but now you're telling me that the government is spending money on military to parade around our cities and quote unquote not do anything. Isn't that wasteful?
Would you say that it's not wasteful?
So it's not wasteful to pay somebody to do a job, but when they're doing that job, they quote unquote don't do anything. Don't you pay people to do something?
Yeah, I mean they have to do something.
Okay, but you just told me they're not doing anything, so that makes it wasteful spending.
So my question is, when it comes to the military being in the city, in your perspective, what is it that you think that the military would be doing?
Well, I mean, I actually had that same question for a handful of the members of the military police, which is part of the National Guard Reserve from Mississippi that was in D.C. when I was down there. I actually ended up talking to about 5 of them, and I asked them, like, what the hell do they do? I've said it a bit, kinder, and they basically told me nothing. Like, they literally told me that they do nothing, right? Because I, like, brought up how they can't function as a domestic law enforcement agency, like, per law. So then I was like, well, if you guys, like, can't make arrests, can't do anything, like, what do you do? And they're like, well, we just kind of walk around. It's a pretty nice job. Weather's nice.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with, at least having them on standby.
Well,
because I mean, let's just say,
what are they on standby for?
Okay, let's just say, worst case scenario, people start protesting and things get out of hand. You have them there for some type of crowd control.
How are they going to crowd control?
Again,
By just
some places
by intimidating.
Hold on.
So you think that he's now, like, deploying the military in American cities to intimidate American citizens?
No, I never said that.
Okay, well, if their
What I
purpose or
just
function
said-
isn't intimidation, then what is it?
So what I just said was, in some places, let's just say that citizens start protesting and the protests get out of control, right? Then at that point, you can use the military along with local law enforcement as crowd control.
Well, the reason that you could use
So
local law
again-
enforcement as crowd control is because they could, like, arrest people. They could, like, function as a domestic law enforcement agency. They enforce the law. Okay, but, like, the military can't legally enforce the law. They can't arrest people, right? They can't just, like, pepper spray people. Like, that's illegal. They can't do that.
So I mean, why do you think that they would be doing that?
Why do I think they would be doing that? Why do I think they would be making arrests?
Yeah. Because I mean, the way you just said it, the way you're saying it as if that's what they're going to be doing, or that's what you expect them to be out doing. Like, why would you expect that?
Yeah, it's because Donald Trump told his Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to deploy the military in these cities to use them as training grounds for the military.
Okay.
Is that, like, conducive to small government, per your first point?
Is that conducive to a small government?
Yeah, to use, like, our own cities as training grounds for our own military? No.
No, I mean,
Exactly.
it's not conducive.
Right.
But I mean, again, they're not doing anything, so
Well, if they're not doing... So, I mean, listen, man, I think I kind of got you in, like a catch-22 here. Because if they're not doing anything, then it's wasteful expenditure to have them there. And if they are doing anything, like making an arrest, then they're violating the Posse Comitatus Act and, like, functioning as a private police of the president.
okay. So, question. So, if what you're saying is true, what would be the difference for our soldiers that were overseas and on deployment, that were sitting on their bases, not doing anything? What would be the difference?
The difference would be is that when they're sitting in their bases overseas, they could be doing something. But even at that
But they're
point,
not doing nothing.
maybe you bring up a good point. Maybe we should reduce the DoD budget from, like, $800 million. Wait, well, 800 million? My bad. 800 billion.
So it still drives the point of, okay, if they're not doing anything here, and you say we're wasting money paying soldiers that are deployed in cities, we're wasting that money. So we would be so you're saying we're not wasting money deploying soldiers overseas that are just sitting in bases not doing anything?
Well, I gave you the
We're
difference.
not wasting money.
I gave you, like, one of, like, the big differences. Like, the big difference would be is that when they're sitting on bases overseas, they could be doing something. Like, if they're needed to, like, deploy and like fight a war, like they could if we get into a war. Like, if they're needed to go on, like, a mission, like SEAL Team 6 when they took out Osama bin Laden, right? Well, then they could,
Right.
get off their asses and go do that. Right. But, like, the National Guard, they can't do that in these cities. Right. There's nothing that they can do. They can't, like, be enacted to go start arresting people. Right. Because that's illegal. That's illegal in American
Right.
soil.
So
That's
if
one of the
a
big
protest
differences.
broke out and the city is in uproar, you're telling me that the National Guard couldn't do crowd control to calm the city. That's what you're telling
they
me.
can't arrest people. No, they can't.
I didn't say arrest. I didn't say
So
arrest.
then what do you mean
I said,
then what do you even mean by crowd control there? Do you just mean
What do you mean?
intimidation?
All right.
Like
no.
what does
So,
crowd
okay,
control look
so
like to you? Right? Because when I think of crowd
What does
control,
crowd control-
listen, I'm
okay,
going to say this
so-
for one last
so-
time. I'm going to say this for one last time. When I think of crowd control, I think of like a lot of cops getting their riot gear on, right? Then like pressing towards a crowd. That if anybody in that crowd tries to like run at them, get by them, then they fucking tackle them and put them in handcuffs, right? To like scare people into like, you know, like calming down
That's
or
not
whatever.
scaring people. That's all right. So
Right,
help me
right,
make
but
this
like,
make sense.
obviously, like the
So you're
instrumental
saying
part.
to me-
Obviously, like
hold
the
on, so you're
instrumental
saying
part.
to me
No,
that
no,
if
one
a
moment,
group
one
of law
moment.
enforcement
Obviously, like
officers
the
are
instrumental,
telling you
the
to
instrumental
get
part,
back,
the instrumental
you would
part.
actually
oh my
walk
God.
toward them and think you're not going to get arrested.
Yes, if you do
That's
that.
what you're telling
so
me.
if somebody from the National Guard tells
Why
you to
would
get
you
back,
do that? That makes no sense.
If
So if
somebody-
Atlanta
oh my
National
God,
Guardsmen
yes, I'm
are
trying to
telling
tell you.
step back, and you want to proceed toward them, you think that you wouldn't get arrested.
Yes, because
why
they
would
legally-
you think that? Yes, you would get arrested.
because they can't arrest you, as that would be in violation of the Posse
So
Comitatus Act.
okay. So let's just say
Listen,
that it's
listen,
MPD. I
listen.
live in Memphis.
No,
and
no, no.
MPD is
I want
telling
you to listen very
get
closely.
back, and you keep coming toward them. You saying that you shouldn't get arrested.
Okay, I want you to listen very closely to what I'm saying here. So you
It's
just,
not making sense. You're talking in circles.
if you listen to what I
They
say,
can be
then it will
used
make
as
sense.
crowd control. They're not here for nothing.
If you listen to what I say, then I promise it'll make sense. Okay.
All right.
So you just asked me the question, right? If somebody from the National Guard were just telling you to get back and you don't get back, would I think that I would get arrested by them? Okay, and I answered no. And then you were like, that's ludicrous, right? If you didn't get back, if you didn't follow the commander, the directive, right, of the National Guard's man or woman, then you would get arrested. Okay, and what I'm trying to tell you is that is not true at all, okay? Because that is not a lawful order. Because guess what? People in the military, including the National Guard, literally can't make lawful orders because they cannot function as a domestic law enforcement agency under the Posse Comitatus Act.
Okay.
Right.
I hear you.
Right, so like
So,
if a
question.
cop like commands you to do something, and if you don't listen, then you can get arrested in like many scenarios, and that's because you'd be disobeying a lawful order. But like I said, the
Okay,
military
so-
can't give those on American soil.
Okay, so in what you're saying, so you're bringing up a scenario where you think only just the National Guard is going to be there? There's not going to be any other law enforcement agencies?
So law enforcement agencies can make lawful orders. Law enforcement agencies can make arrests, but the military, they can't.
Okay, so here's what I'm saying. On that defensive line, you're saying the scenario you're giving is if it's just National Guard that's going to be out there. And realistically, it's not just going to be National Guard out there.
But the National
So
Guard
if
can't
you-
even like help law enforcement. They can't. They ask law enforcement to give them the ability to like make lawful commands. They can't do that. I mean, it's just like they're like glorified security guards.
Okay. Okay. So what would be the difference of an MP on a military base versus a non-military base?
I'm actually not familiar with like the function of military police on military bases. I mean, I think that they do have like some ability to function as police because that's what they're called. But like the big difference, like I'd assume, keep in mind I'm not like super educated about this, is that the Posse Comitatus Act prevents them from functioning as a domestic law enforcement agency on American soil. However, right, when they're like an MP on a military base, then like being on the base gives them like special authority to like function closely to a law enforcement agency. And like it's different.
In what way?
I mean, like I just told you, I'd assume that if we were to like go and like look up, right, the application of the Posse Comitatus Act to military police on like military bases, right, then like it doesn't like fully apply, and they're given some special authority because they're on a military base to function as law enforcement. However, they don't have that special authority, right, when they're off of the military base.
He's correct. Military police
Okay.
only act as police on their bases.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. But I personally don't think that, it's a waste of government money to have the military on standby in the city. I don't think
my
that's
main
a
issue. My main issue with it isn't like spending the money on them. My main issue with it is that I just think it's an exertion of power, control, and intimidation over the American citizens by Donald Trump's like the secret police, right? I mean, like the fact of the matter is, like point number one, right? Many of his deployments of the National Guard in many states and cities around America have literally been illegal. You know, like we had a federal judge rule that his deployment of the National Guard in Portland was illegal. Then we had that same federal judge rule when he then tried to deploy the California National Guard in Portland, and that was also illegal. We had another federal judge rule that his administration was violating the 10th Amendment when they tried to deploy other members of the National Guard to Illinois, right? So if it's all about fighting crime, then why don't you care about the crime that the Trump administration has been committing in attempting to deploy National Guards in many of these cities? And then one last point here is I don't think that Donald Trump cares about crime at all. I mean, literally think about it. He's a 34-count goddamn felon. He's an adjudicated rapist. He pardoned 72 people that tried to kill cops on the steps of our Capitol on January 6th. Not even 2 days ago, he pardoned George Santos, who was convicted of 7 years in jail, right, for like fraud and identity theft, right? I mean, fuck, he like pardoned like 3 millionaires that were convicted of tax fraud, okay, right? He issued a blanket pardon to the other 1,600 January 6 rioters that like burst into the Capitol and broke down the doors on that same day, right? He himself has violated the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the 14th Amendment, and the 22nd Amendment. He was held civilly liable in New York for like lying about the value of one of his properties and attempting to get a loan from a bank, right? Another court found him to have intentionally concealed classified documents on his property in Mar-a-Lago. He harbored Russian mafia members in the Trump estate and Trump Towers in the 80s, right? He was sued by the New York State Justice Department in the 70s for not renting to black tenants, right? The fact of the matter is, this man doesn't care about crime unless he thinks that trying to care about crime, acting like he cares about crime, is going to give him a bump in the polls. But if he thinks that his base is just going to look the other way, then he is too.
And you feel as though Kamala Harris cared about crime.
Dude, she was literally a prosecutor for like 30 years, of course.
Right. And in the midst of her being a prosecutor, what was in California, I believe?
So she was a prosecutor in California, AG of the state of California, DA of San Francisco, attorney in San Francisco before that.
And so what about all the wrongful arrest cases that she prosecuted that she never wanted to, that she never wanted to overturn, even though there was evidence that these people were wrongly incarcerated?
Can you give me an example of her doing that?
I mean, anybody can look it up.
Okay, what do I look up?
Just look it up.
Look up what?
So if you're saying that to me, that means you're unaware of that.
Yeah, I am.
How did you not know that?
Because I don't think it actually happened.
Okay, so that's just like saying, so you truly believe that Donald Trump is a convicted felon of what it was that he was charged with?
Why are we moving back to Trump? I thought that you were trying to prove that Kamala Harris wrongfully convicted people, then like withheld evidence.
She did. Look it up. Where's my phone?
Listen, I have a computer right in front of me. I have Google open in front of me right now. Just tell me what to Google and I will.
Just wrongful convictions, or overturned convictions during Kamala Harris, I guess, term as Attorney General.
Okay, I feel like that's not going to like. That's not going to be specific enough to prove the point that you're trying to make. Obviously, right, when somebody is serving as like Attorney General of a state, right, there's going to be wrongful convictions inside of that state because the criminal justice system isn't perfect. Okay, but there's a difference between like a wrongful conviction and her, right, wrongfully convicting somebody, then intentionally concealing evidence that would have proved they're innocent. Okay, right. So just telling me to Google her wrongful convictions isn't really going to do much.
Okay.
Right, not to mention that prosecutors don't convict, judges convict, juries convict.
Prosecutors bring the case, right?
Right, exactly. Right, when they believe guilty, and then they attempt to prove it inside of a courtroom. Right, but no prosecutor has like a perfectly clean record of only like bringing cases against individuals that are truly guilty and never had like any cases overturned whatsoever.
Okay. All right.
Right? So I don't think that like a wrongful conviction on its own is enough to demonstrate any negligence on behalf of any given prosecutor, unless you could demonstrate that their wrongful conviction rate is absorbently high, or you could demonstrate, right, the claim that you made about Kamala Harris, which is that she allowed somebody to be wrongfully convicted even though she had evidence that would have proved their innocence and she withheld it. Okay? So if you want to prove that, feel free to, right? But unless you can prove that, then I don't really think you have a strong argument. And if you want to talk
Okay,
about
well,
wrongful convictions, right? Well, let's talk about the wrongful conviction and deportation of Abrigo Garcia as a member of MS-13 without any proceeding inside of any American courtroom to then be sent to be tortured, beaten, and starved in CCOT for 3 weeks by the Trump administration. But I don't really hear you caring too much about that.
And where is CCOT?
That's going to be in El Salvador.
So it's not on American soil?
But we've been illegally deporting people from American soil to CCOT, like
Were they
Abrigo Garcia.
were they legally here?
Abrigo Garcia actually did have a withholding order, meaning he did have some level of legality to stay within the country and to prevent his deportation, and that's why SCOTUS ruled his deportation as illegal. So yeah, actually,
Okay. So you feel as though they didn't have due process to get here, but they need due process to leave?
Yes. Right? Like you could try to make like whatever rhetorical argument you want. Oh, they didn't have due process when they came in, so therefore we shouldn't give them due process when they're going out. Okay, guess what disagrees with you? The goddamn Constitution.
Oh my God, thank you.
So you telling me that I could sneak into Mexico and Mexico would have to go through the courts to get me out of Mexico?
Dude, go ask a legal expert on Mexican law, okay? Right? I'm only familiar with the American Constitution, more specifically the 14th of the American Constitution, in which guarantees due process to everybody in this country, including undocumented immigrants.
So a person can have non-due process to get here. We can just have an open border policy, right, under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Have an open border policy to just, let as many people in as possible. And when it's time to get them out, we have to take them to court.
Well, you're wrong about suggesting that the Biden-Harris administration had an open border policy. But even if they did, you'd be right in suggesting that, yes, you have to give them due process when they're being deported.
Okay, so tell me.
I have a question.
So
right?
tell me, where did all the flood of migrants come from?
Are you like
what president was in the White House?
Well, before we move on to that subject, let's finish out our conversation here about due process. So are you like one of those like Antifa terrorists that Trump talks about because like you're trying to discredit the merits of the Constitution or the rights in which it guarantees?
No.
Oh, you are a constitutionalist. You're a patriot. So then you like do affirm and believe that everybody in this country should have a right to due process because the Constitution says so.
If you're here, if you've had due process to be here, yes.
So you don't think that the Constitution guarantees due process to undocumented immigrants?
If you're undocumented and you done came, if you snuck in this country, I don't think you need to go through the court to be taken out of the country.
Okay. And why don't you think that?
If you've gone through the proper channels to be here and, they want to deport you, then yes, I think they should go through the proper channels,
okay,
to deport you.
Can I just like read you the Fifth Amendment?
Sure, go ahead.
No one shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law by the federal government. So I have a question. When it says no one there, is that like actually saying nobody but undocumented immigrants?
Well, I mean, that's a gray area.
It's actually not a gray area at all.
It is a gray area. Dude, come on. Hold on. All right. So it says no one.
No one.
No.
Yes. To be more specific, it says no state may deprive.
No one and or illegal immigrant or no one and or person that doesn't have citizenship. It doesn't say that. It says
I have a question.
No one.
I have a question. Does it say no one and or like Ray's father?
Wait, leave me out of it.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, because the Constitution.
Well,
you're saying because the Constitution doesn't explicitly say no one and or undocumented immigrants, right, shall be deprived of a right to due process, that therefore it's unclear. Well, it definitely doesn't say no one and or Ray's father. Therefore, do you think it's constitutionally unclear if you have a right to due process?
Well, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but
right.
you.
By the way, I honestly just like paraphrased the due process clause of the Fifth Amendment when I just read that off to you. Right, the actual wording says no state may deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law. Right, so it says they may not deprive any person of this without due process. Right, meaning that all persons are entitled to this. I have a question. Do you think that undocumented immigrants in America are people?
Of course they are.
So therefore, they have a constitutional entitlement to due process.
If they're here legally, yes.
No, it's even if they are here illegally, even if they are an undocumented immigrant, they still have a constitutional entitlement to due process due to the fact that they're people. And I just read you off the text of the Constitution that says no state may deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law.
So you feel like, okay, so based off what you're saying and what you're quoting that the Fifth Amendment says,
Right.
regardless of how anybody got here, they don't have to leave.
Well, they have to be given due process if they're forced to leave through deportation.
So you think that it's just completely fine?
I not only do I think it's fine to give them due process, I think it's a must to give them due process because that's how we actually determine if they're an undocumented individual or not. Like if we're not granting people due process upon warranting like their removal from the country, who's to stop the government from showing up at your door, breaking it down, putting you in cuffs, throwing you forcefully in the back of a U-Haul van, putting you on a plane and sending you to CCOT in El Salvador without any due process to determine if you're a citizen or not? Because if you respond to that by saying, well, they'd be able to demonstrate that I'm a citizen by like literally looking at my ID, running me through the system, guess what? That's process. That's due process.
So that's due process. Okay. All right. So with that being said, so what you just said, so when they catch one of these illegals
Undocumented
and they
immigrants.
detain them, okay, illegals, documented immigrants, however you want to word it, and they run their ID, they check them through the system. Is that not due process?
So, like, well, if an
Checking their information to see if they're legally here? Is that not due process?
Many undocumented immigrants don't like have an ID.
That's what you just said.
Right, I was talking about you because you're a citizen. But like the answer to that question, by the way, like undocumented immigrants can get identification in some states, just not all states. But no, that wouldn't be like full due process. Full due process would warrant like like sitting in front of a judge and having a hearing in court.
Okay, so what about
unless it's like expedited removal through limited due process, which is like more complicated, honestly, like a conversation that I don't think like you're fit to have with me because it gets like a little bit more constitutionally iffy. SCOTUS did rule that it's not in violation of the Fifth Amendment, so it's technically still an exertion of due process per the Constitution. But like the point that I'm trying to prove here is that everybody in this country, right, has an entitlement to due process per the Constitution because it says in the Constitution that no person may be deprived of due process. I mean, it can't get any more clear than that. It really can't.
Even if they're here illegal.
Yes, even if they're here illegally.
But does it say that?
Yes, it does. But that's a direct inference.
Hold on. It says just that.
Oh my God.
Even if they're here illegally.
Yes, it implies that.
Verbatim, it says that.
No,
read that to me where it says that verbatim.
That's an implication because of the fact that
no, not an implication. Read it where it says verbatim.
Okay. It doesn't say it verbatim.
I'm not gonna get you banned, sweetie. Okay, there.
And
so it doesn't say verbatim.
It doesn't need to say it verbatim.
It does, because what you're doing is you're taking what it says and you're widening out the context as to who and what it all applies to. That's exactly what you're doing.
Dude, listen to what I'm saying. It says no person.
No, I'm not. What he's doing is he's widening it to apply to everything.
God. Listen, dude, it says
but if
no
it doesn't
person.
say that verbatim,
okay,
then one can only speculate that it means
what an idiot. What an idiot. Okay.
You're an idiot, man. Come on,
you
bro.
are.
Don't do
You
that.
are.
Don't do the name calling.
I'm
man.
sorry.
Let's be respectful.
I'm gonna do the name calling because this is egregious, dude. It says
How is it egregious?
yeah because it says no person may be deprived of due process. Okay.
No person. Does it say undocumented or what's the word you use?
Undocumented immigrants are people. Yes.
Are they here legally?
If they are here illegally,
Yes, it
are they
does
still
matter.
people?
Because it doesn't
Are
matter
they
if
people?
they're
Listen, answer
person
my
or
question.
not.
Yes, it
My
does.
God, you're a
It
moron,
does matter.
man. Like, what do
It
you
does.
mean?
It does matter if they're people or not. It does matter if they're people or not because it says no person shall be deprived of due process. Okay? The only way that you can argue that this statement found in the Fifth Amendment, no person shall be deprived of due process, is if you categorically reject the notion, right, that undocumented individuals are people. Because if they are people, then they would fall under, right, the explicit statement found in the Fifth Amendment, which is no person shall be deprived of a right to due process. That's what the Constitution says. Ray's dad. Oh, and if you think it needs to say it explicitly, can you please show me where in the Constitution it explicitly says Ray's father has an entitlement to due process? Show me where in the Constitution it says that. Because if it doesn't, guess you don't have a right to due process. Right? Ray's dad? That's the way that this is working? You think that we need to explicitly name every single person in the Constitution? We need to explicitly refer to every person ever? Oh, and by the way, I guess now, right, banning handguns is constitutional because explicitly say it's unconstitutional to ban handguns. I guess now banning speech in the sense of attempting to throw people in jail because they say they don't like Trump is constitutional, because where in the Constitution does it explicitly say it's unconstitutional to suggest that you don't like Trump? Unmute. Ray, you might need to help your dad on this. Okay, Ray? He's muted. Wait, I guess they weren't muted?
You got me muted?
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Oh, okay, there.
So how do you feel about that? Would you respond to what I just said?
You said so much, and my daughter was talking to me. I didn't. In all fairness, I didn't.
Okay, I'm gonna run through it again.
No, I didn't really hear.
Do I have your attention?
Tell you.
I hear what you're saying. Okay, can I ask you a question?
Not yet.
So
Not yet.
Hey, just wait. There's probably a point he's trying to make. Just wait.
I just wanted to ask a question.
Just wait.
Your child is significantly more sensible than
Don't you dare. No, she ain't.
Whoa, wait a minute. Hold up.
Okay, listen. I'm not. Listen.
Yeah, because what he was about to say was mad disrespectful, and it ain't. Nah, we ain't doing that.
Listen.
We're not doing that.
All right, listen. Okay, here's my point. So I read you off, right, in the Fifth Amendment, where it says no person shall be deprived of a right to due process. And then I was like, okay, well, this like obviously means undocumented immigrants have a right to due process because, well, they're people. And then your response to that was to say, well, where does it explicitly say, right, that undocumented immigrants have a right to due process? Because if it doesn't explicitly say that, then how could we ever know, right, if like I'm widening or closing the scope of what the Constitution means, right? That was your response?
Yep.
Okay. The first issue with that response is the Supreme Court has explicitly ruled that undocumented immigrants have a right to due process. Okay? This was in 2021 when expedited removal was brought to the Supreme Court as a contention because the prosecutors thought that, well, maybe, sorry, not the prosecutors, the defenders, I don't even know what you call them. Just ignore that. Whoever brought this case to the Supreme Court thought that, well, maybe expedited removal infringes on the right to due process that undocumented immigrants have. In response, the Supreme Court ruled that, yes, undocumented immigrants have a right to due process, but this doesn't infringe on it. So the Supreme Court has explicitly ruled that you're wrong, and that should be more than enough information to reject the silly shit you're saying, because SCOTUS is the ultimate interpreter and interpreting body of the Constitution. Okay? But like the more like common sense way to understand why you're wrong here is the Constitution doesn't have to explicitly say something if it could be directly implied. Like for instance, when the Constitution says no person shall be deprived, right, of a right to due process, the obvious implication here is that therefore all people have a right to due process. Okay, and because undocumented immigrants are people, right, therefore they have a right to due process. Because if you were to take that right away from them, if you were to deprive them of due process, then you would be depriving a person of their entitlement to due process, which would infringe on the clear text of the Fifth Amendment that says no person shall be deprived of due process.
Okay.
So do you understand now why you're wrong?
I hear what you're saying. I don't honestly feel as though that I'm wrong.
Explain how.
What do you mean explain? Okay, so what you're saying, based off what you're saying and what you're saying that SCOTUS said, that a person has a right to due process, whether legal or illegal, in the country.
So yes, SCOTUS did say that, okay, in 2021. SCOTUS did say that, but I mean, that's been clear even before SCOTUS said it, right? because the Constitution says no person shall be deprived of due process. And because undocumented immigrants are people, if you deprive them of due process, then you're depriving a person of due process.
So you feel as though all the migrants that they're getting right now and that they're detaining, that they're just deporting them immediately. They're not going to court.
So we could have a conversation about what the Trump administration is actually doing right after we finish our conversation on if undocumented immigrants have this entitlement to due process.
So you want to stay on the same talking point? Okay.
Yeah, until I could get you to like come to terms with the fact that you're wrong, or until you could give me a compelling counter argument.
Well, I mean, again, like I feel as though saying that anyone or any person, I interpret it as legal body, so legal citizen. I don't feel as though the Constitution is referring to anyone that isn't a legal citizen of said country.
Nice feelings, Ray's father. Okay, are you are you pro-choice all 9 months in all 50 states?
Am I pro-choice?
Yeah.
Like what? Your body, your choice type thing?
Like women and girls, they should be able to go out and kill the fetus growing in their uterus at any points all 9 months in all 50 states. Do you believe that?
No.
Well, you should. You should.
All right, hold on.
Okay.
Here's my. Hold on now. Here's my feelings on that. When it comes to the pro-choice thing, I feel like there's only two stipulations to where that situation applies. One, if it's a situation of rape, and or two, the carrying of said child is putting the mother's life in danger.
Okay, thank you so much.
In those two scenarios, I feel as though it's completely valid.
Okay, but with your view here that you think that the Constitution and the rights in which it guarantees to individuals are only applicable to citizens, therefore you should be pro-choice for any reason or no reason at all for all women and girls, all 9 months, in all 50 states. Because guess what? You're not a citizen until you get a birth certificate and you're given a social security number, meaning that fetuses are non-citizens. And because you think that constitutional protections only apply to citizens, therefore you don't think that fetuses have any constitutional protections. And because fetuses don't have any constitutional protections under your view, then they have no legal right to life in any state of the United States of America. And because you don't think that fetuses have any legal right to life in any state at any point in all 50 states, therefore you actually would be pro-choice in the sense that you think when a woman or girl is killing the fetus inside of her uterus, she's doing nothing that can be adjudicated on as incorrect or morally wrong, or I guess not morally wrong, legally incorrect, for the reason being that you don't think that the fetus has the right to life at any point through the term of the pregnancy until they're born and given a social security number.
I didn't just say that.
What's that?
I didn't just say that.
Well, you did say that, because if you think that fetuses have like a legal entitlement to like life, happiness, a legal entitlement to a right to life, then you think that constitutional rights can extend to non-citizens.
So you feel like a child isn't a citizen until he comes out the womb?
Well, it's not. That's not what I feel like. That's what I know, right? You can't claim like a fetus like as a dependent when you're like filing your taxes, right? You can't like fetuses don't have social security numbers. Okay, you can't like go to like family court. You can't go and like get you know like an ex-husband or ex-wife to like pay you know like child support for a fetus. Yes, fetuses right are not citizens. In the eyes
okay,
of
I'm following you.
Right? And because fetuses are not citizens in the eyes of the law, then you don't think that fetuses should have any legal protections in the eyes of the law, meaning that you don't think that they should have a legal protection to the right to life. We don't count fetuses on the census. That's another really big one. Like they're not counted on the census either. Go ahead.
Okay, a fetus does have a right to life.
Okay, so like legally speaking, and if you think that they legally speaking have a right to life, then you think that constitutional protections extend to non-citizens.
No, not necessarily, because I mean, a fetus born here is different than, you know, a person that came here illegally.
word born. Now you're saying once it's born, it has a right to life. Sure, under your view, that's consistent because at that time and they'd be the citizen. We're talking about before they're born and being aborted.
Well, I mean, so what are you tying this into exactly?
You told me that you only think constitutional protections extend to citizens. Fetuses are non-citizens, therefore you don't think that constitutional protections would be extended to fetuses, implying that therefore you don't think that fetuses would have any constitutional protection for their life, meaning that you don't think they have a legal right to life, meaning that when a woman or girl would be killing a fetus, they're not killing a life form in which has any legal protections to prevent that killing.
Okay, hold on. Let's back up. So you're saying this off the backing of you saying that there are illegal immigrants that have social security numbers and ID, right?
Undocumented immigrants are not a part of this argument at all, right? All that this argument is hinging on is your statement that you think that constitutional protections only extend to citizens, and I'm like easily refuting that view by like just simply pointing out that fetuses, not undocumented immigrants, aren't citizens. Therefore, under your view, they don't have legal protections. Therefore, under your view, they don't have a legal right to life. Therefore, under your view, you would say that women and girls should be able to access abortion for any reason or no reason at all and kill the fetus all 9 months before it gains citizenship.
No, I feel like a fetus has rights.
Okay. Well, now you're saying that non-citizens have rights legally.
So okay. So you're saying let's get this straight. Let's get this. You gotta excuse me. I'm recovering from a cold. You're saying that because a fetus isn't counted in the census, that it's technically not a citizen.
I'm saying because the fetus isn't counted in the census, you can't like claim a fetus as a dependent. You can't like go into an HOV lane because like a fetus inside of a uterus. You can't get like child support for a fetus. A fetus doesn't have a birth certificate nor a social security number. They're not citizens. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the fetus isn't a citizen.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. All right.
Because, right, you remember like how we were just talking about like undocumented immigrants? They're undocumented because they don't have any documentation, right, of residency or citizenship. What documentation of residency or citizenship does a fetus have? None.
The woman being pregnant in the country that she's in.
Actually not, right? Because that would be documentation of citizenship if they were born, because the 14th Amendment covers birthright citizenship, but they're not born yet, so they don't have birthright citizenship yet.
Stop wiggling. You're moving the mic, please.
All right.
So therefore, they're non-citizens. Therefore, you don't think that they have any legal protections for their life.
I feel like they do.
Okay. All right, man. You feel a lot of things. I kind of just, okay, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not trying to be disrespectful when I say this. I don't think that like you base how you feel and what you think off of reality. I think that you try to base reality off of how you feel and the way that you think. Okay. That's been like evidently clear this whole conversation. Okay. We were talking, right, about the explicit wording of the Constitution. Okay. I read the Fifth Amendment to you. It says, no person shall be deprived of due process in this country. Okay. Undocumented individuals are people, therefore, according to the Fifth Amendment, they shouldn't be deprived of due process. And then you're like, no, I just like feel differently. Like words don't even matter anymore. That's evidence, like point number one, where you're trying to base reality off of how you feel compared to basing how you feel off of reality. Now, evidence point number two is that you now think that fetuses have like some type of entitlement to a legal right to life per the American Constitution, even though you don't think that constitutional rights apply to anybody that's a non-citizen in this country. And I was able to successfully demonstrate to you many times how and why fetuses are non-citizens.
So you feel as though a fetus has no rights?
Well, listen, the sense of the debate that we're having right now is that under your view, fetuses don't have any legal rights at all.
Okay, so you're saying, so based off what you're saying that I'm saying, you're saying your view would be a fetus has no rights at all.
We're not even really talking about my view here. I'm doing an internal critique of yours.
If that's the case, then no, I'm trying to get an understanding of your perspective. So if you understand mine, the flip side to the flip side to this argument would be you think that they don't at all.
Well, so there'd be no implications about how I think or how I feel based upon the conversation that we've having so far, because it has just been purely an internal critique of your own view. But I mean, if you're just asking me what my view is, no, like I don't think fetuses have the right to life. I am pro-choice, okay? But that's completely and totally unconcerned to the contradiction and hypocrisy that I've been able to point out of yourself due to the fact that you're trying to argue that undocumented immigrants, right? Because, you know, the Constitution only covers, right, citizens, right? However, you still do think that fetuses would have a legal right to life due to the fact that even though they're non-citizens, and you don't think that any legal rights are extended to non-citizens.
Yeah, because I mean, an undocumented immigrant, excuse me, they're not legal citizens here from the start. So under your pretext, because of the Fifth Amendment, if they come here, regardless as to how they got here, they immediately have all the rights of those that are born here, those that went through the correct and legal processes to be here, so on and so forth. That's under your theory. That's what you're saying.
Most rights.
That's what I'm understanding.
Yeah, most rights. And like that right would include due process.
Yeah. I don't feel that way.
Okay, then give
I feel like if you
okay, then,
and then
explain. No, one last question.
Reason I don't feel that way.
Listen, explain.
Here's another reason I don't feel that way.
Explain how the Constitution. No. Listen, explain how the Constitution can say all people have a right to due process, and you're interpreting that all people have a right to due process to not actually mean all people, right? Like think about it. The moment you suggest, right, even one. And it would be contradicting it for the reason that if you say all the shoes are red, then 100% of the shoes would be red. But if you then posit, right, that some of them aren't red, then you're saying that it's not the case that 100% of the shoes in the closet are red. So if you say that all people in this country have a right to due process, and then you say, well, like maybe some people in this country don't, are you contradicting that original message? All people in this country have a right to due process.
No, not necessarily, because
How?
if what do you mean how? So because they're whether they're here whether they're here illegally or not, you feel as though they have a right to due process, but there was no due process to get here.
Because regardless if they're here legally,
it's not about no. Let's not overlook. Let's not overlook that.
Thank you. So regardless,
let's not overlook it.
Regardless if they're here legally or illegally, they're still a person. Can we agree to that?
Okay, yeah, they're a person, but person aside.
No, not person aside, because that's like we can't just put that aside. That oh my God, 1 second. I just need a second. No, I'm gonna thank my donors real quick. Jeremy, thank you so much for the 10. Oh my God. Jeremy, thank you for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat. Jeremy with the $10 says all feelings, no facts with MAGA. I appreciate you for the $10, Jeremy. I just need to thank the donors real quick. I just need a break from that real quick. Alta, thank you so much for the Galaxy. I really appreciate that. As well as Richard, thank you so much for the $20 over on Super Chat. Let's go to get 200 Richard W's down below. Richard with the $20 says military police can detain individuals on military bases, not arrests. The local PD decides if they're willing to arrest and pick up the person. Well, thank you so much for telling me that. Well, look at that. As well as Mary, thank you so much for the $20 over on Venmo. Let's get 200 Mary W's down below in that chat. Mary with the $20 says grateful. I appreciate you for that love. As well as Roberto, thank you for the $10 on Venmo. Roberto says, damn brother, you're cooking him alive. Thank you for the $10, Roberto. I appreciate that. As well as, I'm just going to mute the guest real quick. Cassie, thank you for the $15 on Venmo. Cassie just says, I love you. I love you too, Cassie. Thank you for the $15. As well as thank you so much for the motorcycle. And then Marissa, thank you so much for the $7 over on Venmo. Gail, thank you for the $1. Ashley with the $5. Ashley says, this caller is embarrassing. Yeah, he is. Shauna, thank you for the $5. Jaden with the 5. And then Alyssa, this came in 40 minutes ago, but I still just wanted to thank you. Thank you for the 10. I'd also like to very quickly thank Rachel with the $5 over on PayPal. Rachel says you should ask him what SCOTUS is. Good idea. As well as Krish, thank you so much for the $10 on PayPal. Krish says, Dean, that guy that you debated with the 2 hats on went live and said that he cooked you. fucking dude. I'm sorry, dude. People are just insane. So fucking crazy. As well as Danielle, thank you so much for the $25 over on PayPal, and Tina with the 20. Let's get 200 Tina W's and 250 Danielle W's. Appreciate you both so much for the love. As well as Kelly, thank you so much for the $10 over on Venmo. Appreciate you for that love. And Matt with a 5. And Matt with a $5 says, here's $5 for putting up with this guy. Appreciate you for your kindness. As well as Ivy. Hey, happy birthday. But listen, I'm going to go ahead and unmute the guest at this point. We're going to go ahead and get back into the conversation. I think I just needed a little bit of a break there. If you're watching and you want to support me, help pay for my therapy, then you can find my Venmo and my PayPal in the link tree in my bio on TikTok, as well as in the pin message over on YouTube. But Ray, you might have to help your dad unmute the mic again.
Okay, so he's taking a minute to talk to his wife. I do apologize. I knew how this was going to go, but I needed someone to tell him what I've been yelling at him for weeks.
Okay, listen. This is listen, you know, Ray, I do these debates every single day. I don't think I've had a guest as logically detached from reality as your father is in a very long time. You know, most guests, right, there's a lot of issues. Some of them are really evil bad people. Some of them are just totally pro P3 right? So on and so forth. Right. But the issue I'm experiencing with your dad is very unique in this sense, right? That the issue completely lies in just being detached from critical thought, detached from any level of logic, and just a detachment from reality in those relevant senses. So, I mean, listen, if he wants to finish off the conversation here, I could try one more time to make this point clear, right? But if I can't make this point clear, I am going to move on to the next guest.
Father, would you like to continue your conversation?
Oh, I gotta find this car, sweetie.
Okay. We can join back later or another day or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you take care, Ray. You take care. We're going to go to move on to the next guest, guys. Only hop in that queue if you happen to be MAGA. Holy fuck, guys. Holy shit. Yo, say something. Don't say anything. Mute or leave. You've chosen the path of not saying anything. Good boy! Good boy! Good boy! Good boy! We're going to go ahead and move on to the next guest. If you don't know what just happened, don't worry about it. A lot of lore there. Go ahead and hop in that queue if you support Trump. Anthony, thank you so much for the $5 over on PayPal. Appreciate you, Anthony.
Dean, I love you!
Oh, thank you so much for your kindness. That's very, very kind of you. Anthony, seriously, thank you for the $5 over on PayPal. I really appreciate you so much for your kindness. And Champs! Oh my goodness, thank you for the $100 on Venmo. Yo, that's crazy. Let's get 1,000 Champs W's in that chat. That is Champs, spelled CHAMCE. Champs with $100 says the Supreme Court is the ultimate authority for interpreting the Constitution, not Ray's dad. Does he understand that he is at the very bottom of the totem pole when it comes to interpreting the Constitution? You dude, his interpretations of the Constitution were just his feelings. Holy shit. But Champs, that is a ridiculous amount of money. I really appreciate you for your kindness. Seriously, show some goddamn love to Champs down below in the comment section, as well as Rihanna. Gina, sorry, I don't know where I got Rihanna from. Gina, thank you for the $15 over on PayPal, who says the cult of MAGA relies on a lack of critical thinking. Thank you for what you do. Thank you, Gina. That is JYNNA. Thank you so much for your kindness. Show some love to Champs and Gina. What is going on, Ultimate Conservative? Are you an Ultimate Conservative? Do you support Trump?
Indeed.
Age, please.
18.
Where were you born in?
2007.
And how many times have you already been up here?
I joined once, but you kicked me in 2 minutes because there was too much background noise.
Okay. All right. Tell us why you support the worst president of your 18 years of life.
Yeah, so the reason that I support President Donald Trump would come down to a numerous amount of reasons, but obviously the main issues with voters this election cycle was the economy. Trump has a history of delivering on record low unemployment, record high GDP growth. Things like the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act were extremely beneficial for not only corporate America and the top 2%, like many liberals claim, but also just every average, everyday citizens. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of reasons outside of that, but I guess I'd start with economic policy.
So you said Trump has a history of what? Delivering, I think is the word that you use. You said Trump has a history of delivering on record low levels of unemployment. Are you saying that because during his first administration at one point, there was a 50-year record low level of unemployment?
No, just in general, throughout the entirety of his term before the COVID pandemic started, it was below 5%.
Okay. And you think that he delivered on that. So how did he cause that?
Yeah, so I think in general his economic policies were much stronger than the ones associated with the Biden-Harris
So
administration.
what economic policies did he pass that caused that record low level of unemployment?
Yeah, so again, things like the corporate tax cuts on large corporations. In general, I would, again, more so be largely in favor of his record high GDP growth, but yeah.
Okay, well, we could talk about GDP growth in a bit. So now you're saying it's his Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that caused like lower levels of unemployment. That's actually not true. So the financial institution by the name of Brookings did a study on the outcomes of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act during his first term, and what they determined is that there's no new macro level business reinvestment caused by the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and it would require new macro level business reinvestment in order to reduce the macro level unemployment, because that's how you would pay their salaries. So at the end of the day, because that Brookings studies, we know that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act didn't create any new jobs in the economy.
Yeah, so I guess my response to that would be then why did the unemployment rate in the United States go from 4.3% to 3.9 within just 4 months of the bill passing? Is that just correlation, or is there necessarily causation behind it?
Yeah, it'd just be a correlation for the reason that I suggested, that reason being a suggestion in a study that proved from by Brookings that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act didn't cause any new macro level business reinvestment, and it would require that macro level business reinvestment in order for it to be caused by the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And also, what time is it?
426,
What state do you live in?
Illinois,
What's the capital of Illinois?
Springfield.
Okay, all right. So yeah, go ahead and respond to that.
Yeah, so I guess my question would be then why do you believe that the unemployment was just miraculously at its lowest point for 50 years at that point in time?
Yeah, it's completely unconcerned and irrelevant to a conversation on if the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act caused it.
Okay, well, then how can you decipher whether or not it was associated with the Trump administration's policies?
Well, I mean, I'm actually asking you to do that calculus for me, but since you're the one making the claim, and you tried to do that calculus by telling me that they were able to cause that low level of unemployment through the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. However, I've given you, right, a compelling reason to believe that's false.
You have, and that's why I responded by asking, okay, if it's not associated with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, then do you have a specific reason that it would be?
That'd just be a completely different conversation than the one that we're having about why you think that Donald Trump is good for low levels of unemployment. But if you want my response, it's that we saw a continuation of the macroeconomic trends onset at the end of the Obama administration under most of the Trump admin as well, right? But you just simply asking me what I think caused it, right, is unconcerned to a debate on if the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act caused it. Like, I don't need to be able to, like, give you a warranted explanation of what did cause it in order to dispute that it was the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Like, for instance, I don't know what caused the universe into existence. However, I could probably give you a really good argument that it wasn't a magical unicorn. Okay, he left. See you later. Moving on to the next guest. Dude. Speak, don't speak, mute, leave, go on pause.
Why are you so scared to do that?
Good boy! Goodbye!
Why are you so afraid of me?
Oh my goodness, good boy.
Did you attend No Kings?
We're going to go and move on to the next guest. We got that next guest loaded up in the box. We got Ryan connecting. Angel, thank you so much for the $15 over on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love, Angel. While we're getting that next guest up in here, let's go ahead and show some love to Angel down below. Angel with a $15 says, also from Illinois. We don't claim this one. Appreciate you for that $15, Angel. As well as Fiona, thank you for the $25. Fiona says, another day hard at work, opening minds. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you, Fiona. I'm really happy that you're here with us. Thank you for the $25, and I hope that you're enjoying this stream. Huge shout out to you. And what's up, Ryan? Do you support Trump?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's see if we have anybody else to thank here. No, we're good. Go ahead and take it away. Actually, yes, we do. Let's see here real quick. Coral, thank you for the $20 over on Super Chat on YouTube. It's so good to see you, Coral. Coral says it doesn't specifically say only legal or citizens, referencing to the conversation with Ray's dad. You're right, Coral. As well as Sanity, thank you so much for the $5 over on Super Chat. And Carmen, thank you for the 15. Show some love to Coral, Carmen, Sanity, as well as our donors over on Venmo, Angel, and Fiona. You guys are awesome. Go ahead and take it away. Tell us why you're MAGA.
I just got a quick question for you. Why do you keep saying good boy? What does that mean?
Oh, well, there's a lot of lore with the last guest, but the reason I was calling him a good boy has to do with about a year and a half worth of background with that last guest, Mr. Liam. Don't worry about it. Just tell us why you're MAGA.
He's just a better option. That's just what I've came down to. You know, it isn't anything too special, if you know what I mean. But
So
at the end of the day,
he promised
up?
us like a prospering economy. Do you think that like we're living in the golden age right now?
I know I don't know if we're living in no golden age, but I'd say it's probably like a bronze, if you know what I mean.
Okay, so do you think that we're also living in the Bronze Age under the Biden-Harris administration towards the end of their term due to the fact that every single economic variable was better than it is now?
I'd say probably yeah. It wasn't too bad.
Right,
It wasn't
better-
anything
better.
crazy, but
It's better.
Yeah.
Well, it's better than it was now. So yeah, why do you think that? Can you give an argument? You said that you think that he was the better out of the two options. Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you give an argument that if Kamala Harris had won the election, that America would be worse off today?
You say worst off? I don't know. I guess let's just say from my point of view, in a blue collar stance, over the past couple presidencies that I've witnessed, the Republican Party has been a better choice for, I guess, if you know what I'm saying there.
Okay, why do you think
I
that
guess
Trump was a
in
better
the
choice
better-
for like blue collar workers? I mean, like, feel free to give an argument for that.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess you're pulling my sock here, but basically, just overall economy. You know what I mean? I mean, when I go to fill my truck up in the morning to go drive to work, gas prices are a little lower. Not saying they are low now, but I'm just saying overall, in the past, I'd say probably 10 years, it's been in a lower stance.
What is one good
and
thing
just-
that Trump has ever done for the economy?
Lots of money in MAGA merch. Not gonna lie, lots of money in that. Probably that's a good thing. I'm gonna have to say
so he's grifted off of his supporters, and that means he's good for the economy. What, are you trolling?
no. I'm not trolling at all. No.
All right, Ryan. I'm going to go to move on to the next guest. Let's go to get that next guest loaded up in here. What is going on? Every guest today. Hey, speak, don't speak, mute, pause, leave.
This is becoming a cycle with you, dude.
Good boy. Well, yeah, the cycle's continued when you like hop back in the queue like every day.
I'm so infatuated with you. You're such a big deal. You're just such a hero to the Democratic snowflake people. I just can't help myself but to come up here and listen to you educate me on all these subjects where you like talk in circles.
You literally sound like you're about to cry because I'm doing these debates and you're calling Democrats the snowflakes?
No, dude, I'm not crying at all. I'm just like wondering why you keep inciting violence in the youth to continue this nonsense against democracy. I don't understand it.
How do I incite violence?
I'm just talking about how, we have a dictator in office. We have a wannabe king, an authoritarian.
Yeah.
How many other logos or slogans or names do you have for the guy now?
So every single one of those things is true.
Is 77 million people get off their ass to elect him, and he
Liam!
and he won everything?
Liam, what am I looking at on my phone right now?
I don't care what you're looking at.
Oh my god. Dude.
Probably a picture of yourself.
Dude, can you explain this to everyone?
I don't think he does at all, actually. I know you don't, because... Liam, were you in the shower? Are you taking a shit? Liam, what? No, I'm not.
Do you typically take a shit with a jacket on? is that something you typically do? So you just kind of come on, dude. Nobody's taking a shit.
Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, I was on the phone, on a live with you. What else is there to explain?
Okay. All right, Liam. Okay, so you told me that I'm inciting violence by like pointing out reality and discussing the facts, such as the facts that are conducive to the conclusion that Donald Trump is a wannabe dictator that wants to set the rules. Well, I mean, listen, man. If reality incites violence, then like I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Then you're for it?
I don't mean to
Then
incite.
you're for it?
I don't mean to incite violence here. I just mean to discuss the facts, right? Like, it is a fact that Donald Trump is like a wannabe all-powerful leader, and if him, right, declaring war in American cities, giving the military an illegal directive to arrest their citizens, him violating the First Amendment, him telling the DOJ to pursue a way to terminate the Second Amendment, him infringing on the 14th Amendment, him saying that he wants to run for a third term, which would be a violation of the 22nd Amendment, or him saying that it's illegal to criticize him in the media, so on and so forth, like, aren't conducive towards the conclusion that he doesn't really care about the Constitution, then I don't know what would, you know? Oh, two other examples. December in 2022, he straight up said that he wants to terminate like all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Then, of course, like J6 2021, when he literally tried to rig and steal the election from Biden by launching his fake electorate scheme. Like,
Who do you think's
all
more,
these
who do
facts.
you think's more important, the Supreme Court or the will of the American people?
Who do I think is more important? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
like,
the Supreme Court or the will of the American people.
I'm not really sure that I understand your question, but it does definitely.
You can
doesn't
just
reflect any of the facts that I
guess.
gave you.
Guess what my question. You're a smart guy. I know that you're going to get cornered, but just go ahead. Try anyway.
Important insofar as achieving what goal? Right? Because if it's like interpreting the Constitution, then I'd obviously say SCOTUS.
No, I'm not even talking about the Constitution because we can amend the Constitution. I'm just talking the directing the United States of America. Okay, would you put it in the hands of the American people or would you put it in the hands of the Supreme Court?
Well, I believe in a multifaceted governmental schema, which would, in some senses, give that direction to.
Okay, now you're talking in circles. That's not what I asked of you.
Okay, I'm sorry if you can't handle nuance. That's not my
A schema. Where you're looking at a schema. Okay, we get it. Yeah, answer the question directly, please, if you can.
I was in the middle of it. I believe in a multifaceted government schema in which would include the delegation of some rules and some powers to further this country to the Supreme Court, and other goals and other powers to further this country to the will of the people. Right? Like, ultimately, like, these two things aren't like mutually exclusive. Like, the will of the people would direct a representation in Congress, as well as the president, and then the president would make nominations for SCOTUS, then the people in Congress would affirm them. So, like, ultimately, things would reduce down to the will of the people. However, because we don't live in a direct democracy, but rather a constitutional republic, or like a constitutional or representative democracy, it's a little bit more complex.
Good God, dude, stop. Listen to me, please. We get it. You basically just told us how our government works.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Great. You're for the United States in the way that it works. But however, if you put our Second Amendment in there, it does give the power to the people to overturn a tyrannical government. So there's that protection there. So this is a multifaceted thing. But however, I just wanted you to kind of answer that directly. Hey, do you not think the American people are smart enough to actually navigate the way that they want their country to be ran? Or would you go,
I don't think that the
hang on,
average
I didn't
American has
cut
a
you
law degree.
off. Mute, boy, I didn't cut you off. Hang on.
I don't think that the average American has a law degree and is intelligent enough to be able to like interpret the Constitution now. I think I proved that on my life.
So there you go. No, you see what's happening here. Dean has to say no. He has to turn against the American people because he knows that Donald Trump won everything. A clean sweep. Okay. Now, if he would have answered that and said, no, I'm for the American people, he would have only said that if Kamala Harris would have won. That's a fact, dude. Okay.
So
that's why I think
you
you are
asked me-
not for democracy.
If you asked me the same question when like Biden was president, for instance, you know, like would I trust like the average American to interpret the Constitution? Like the answer to that question would be no. Because I just don't think that the average American has a degree in law or is like, you know, a practicing lawyer, judge, so on and so forth, right? That's why like when we are like looking for SCOTUS nominees, we're looking for like highly like educated individuals with like a track record and like understanding law and practicing law. However, right, if democracy is so important for you, well, I think you definitely are kind of preaching, out of a pit here because you're an active supporter of Trump as president, who's a man that launched the fake electors plot in 2020, where he attempted to void and nullify the voice and the vote of the people by sending fake slates of electorates to 7 different key swing states that Biden had won. And he sent them with fake votes that said he won those states. And then he directed them to send those fake votes back to Congress. And then he attempted to pressure Mike Pence into certifying the fake votes as real, right? And then he also had all of his cronies standing outside of the Capitol, shout and scream hang Mike Pence, because Mike Pence, right, refused to overturn the voice of the people and abided by the Constitution and ratified the real outcomes of the election, which made Trump very mad and his supporters very mad. So who the hell are you to be speaking on the merits of democracy and pro-people when you are actively supporting the most anti-democratic president we've seen not just run for the presidency, but serve as our president since the Civil War?
So is it okay if I just have a conversation and you don't mute me like you guys laughed about Charlie Kirk when you muted him? Is that all right if we have a conversation without the mute button, Mr. Dean?
I muted Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, going back to how we started this conversation with
you're
Donald Trump
talking
as a
about his
fascist.
assassination.
Wait a minute.
You're talking about his assassination. What, dude? I'm so sorry. Did you just compare me muting you on live to like Tyler, whatever his name was, like literally assassinating Charlie Kirk? Dude, who the hell? Who do you think you are?
Do you side with you? Wait.
Who do you think you are? No, answer my question. Did you just compare me muting you on TikTok Live to Charlie Kirk getting assassinated? Who are you?
You mute me and then say, "Answer my question," as you're muting me. Do you know what that looks like?
Should we throw like a vigil for you too?
Do that again. Say, "Answer my question, Liam," and then mute me.
Do you think that we should like throw like a mega church like pastor's stream and allow Donald Trump to grift off of saying that Tylenol causes autism now that I've muted you? Right? Since apparently, according to you, that's the
don't
same
don't wait a minute. That's massive dodge, massive pivot, dude. Stop it, okay? No. We're not going there. You're the
one that made the comparison.
And my comparison is, listen, starting at the beginning, we talked about fascism. And you go, yeah, Donald Trump is all of those things that you called out. Okay. You have been screaming with your friends, okay, the Deans, the Harrys, the Parkers, all of them, okay, all the snowflakes, the Rainbow Sherbert crew, okay? So listen.
The Rainbow Sherbert crew? Where are you getting?
Yeah, exactly. Snow Cone, Rainbow Sherbert, whatever you guys are, the Snowflake crew. All right. So this is.
So sorry, Liam. You just like got.
Can I get some Rainbow Sherbert in the chat, please?
You just got so mad that I literally clicked a button on my computer and like muted you and prevented you from being able to speak on my live. That you compared yourself to Charlie Kirk being assassinated. If anybody's a goddamn snowflake here, right? It's you. Look in a goddamn mirror, bro.
No, bro. You had a debate with Charlie Kirk. He never had a mute button in front of you. You guys maybe over-talked each other, sure, but there was no dictator mute button, okay? Authoritarian mute button. Stop it, little fella, okay? Now, this is my point.
Muted! Dictator Dean! Can we get some double? Can we get some double D's in the? Well, actually, maybe we shouldn't do double D's. Here, let me thank a couple people first. Hey, CJ, thank you so much for the $20 over on YouTube Super Chat. I appreciate you for that love, CJ. CJ sends $20 and says, "Here's my contribution to start a fund for you to permanently ban Liam, please and thank you." Thank you for the $20, dude. Somebody just gave me $20 to permanently ban you.
I bet you could probably get 1,000 right now if you wanted to. You know?
Well, Rob, thank you so much for the $5 over on Venmo.
What good is that going to do?
Actually, holy fuck, bro. Oh my God. Ariana, thank you so much for the $50 over on PayPal. Ariana with the $50 says thank you
Watch
for everything
this money start coming in.
That you are an inspiration to me and many others. Thank you so much for the $50. Ariana, show some love to Ariana down below in that chat, everybody. Thank you for the $50. As well as Elizabeth. Thank you so much for the $100 on Venmo.
Watch this, chat.
Holy fuck, Elizabeth!
Watch
Elizabeth with $100 says, "Thank you for educating all of us. Your ability to cut through the crap is your superpower." Elizabeth, that is so fucking kind of you. Like, holy fucking shit! Please, if you're watching right now, show some love to Elizabeth and Ariana down below in that chat for the $50 and the $100. 10 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for your kindness. As well as Tracy, thank you so much for the $20 over on Venmo. As well as, yes, happy birthday to your daughter, Zareda. Happy birthday, Zareda. Thank you for the $20, Tracy. As well as Chelsea, thank you so much for the $50 over on Venmo. Let's show some love to Chelsea down below in that chat. Thank you, Chelsea. 500 Chelsea W's down below. Chelsea says, "People who lack intelligence and self-awareness simultaneously are insufferable. This guy embodies that beautifully." Dude, that is a great fucking diss. You hear that, Liam? How do you feel about Chelsea's message there?
She can say whatever she wants. Freedom of speech, sure.
Galen, thank you. But I don't have the right to say whatever I want. No freedom of speech for Dean calling Trump an authoritarian. All of a sudden, I'm inciting violence. Aaron, thank you for the $5 over on Venmo to ban him. Appreciate you for the love. Kaylin with the $5. Thank you so much for the love, Kaylin. Amber, thank you for the $5 over on Venmo as well. Thank you so much, Amber. Scarlett with the $2 over on PayPal. Maria with the 14 cents. The Scovy Squad, thank you for the $10. Sarah, thank you for the $10. And Brett, thank you for the $5. Thank you guys so much for the love. You guys are absolutely phenomenal.
Dude, I'm embarrassed for you. Seriously. I don't know what this is.
What are you?
I mean, you're successful in what you do. That's not the embarrassment. It's just these debates that you have, man. They're so disingenuous. It's insane.
I agree. This one is very disingenuous. Like, for instance, like you were screaming about how pro-democracy you are.
But honestly, you're directing the youth on your side for sure. These college students that want to be liberally educated, you know, like Charlie Kirk was speaking out against, and you're going, like I said, you come up here and you put these labels on people, like, you know, they're what's the definition of this? What's the definition of this? He's a fascist. Trump's a fascist, so Kirk helped elect him. He's a fascist as well. And then you see these confused young men like Tyler, who decides to put in so much. Dude, the guy literally, he engraved messages on his shell casings, man, that were speaking the exact language that you are to thousands of people. Eat this, fascist. I believe that started from your movement. You have to live with that, bro. Honestly. Believe it or not, that did not come from anyone outside of you, dude. That's the truth.
Okay. All right. So
do you agree to? No. Do you take any responsibility for that?
No, I don't. I can tell you why.
Please tell me why.
Yeah, for sure. So first and foremost, it's like funny, right? Because like you're trying to construct this narrative that the left like incites violence through their rhetoric, which led to like Charlie Kirk's assassination. Okay, well, like in construction of that narrative, you're also going to be necessarily ignoring, right, the violence, right, onset and caused by individuals on the right. You know, like the same day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, we had an alt-right groyper go to Evergreen High School in Colorado and kill 3 children. But I will never hear you talking about that the same way I never heard Trump talking about that, because guess what? It was done by somebody on the right. Yeah, you have to ignore that. You also have to ignore the Trump supporter that went to the Mormon church in Illinois and killed like 12 people, right? You got to ignore that too to construct the narrative that the left is just so politically violent. And then on top of that, right, it's like, I just don't see what the consequence of your view is here, right? You're like trying to tell me that like I'm doing something wrong by pointing out, right, Donald Trump's authoritarianism because you think that incites violence against people like Trump. Okay, it's a fact that he's an authoritarian. It's a fact that he's violated the Constitution 5 times in the last 8 months. It's a fact he called for its termination. And it's a fact that he tried to overturn the results of a free and fair election in 2020. Maybe, right, if me calling him an authoritarian is what incites violence, he should just stop being the authoritarian in the first place.
Well, this is the thing.
Yeah, what about that? Yeah. You see, you're trying to make it my fault for calling him an authoritarian compared to it being his fault for being one.
I realize there's a lot of terrible stuff that happens in this country, and I'm not pointing the finger directly at the progressive Democratic Party. That would be foolish of me. Would never do that. Okay, there's definitely violence that it's incited on both sides, far right and far left. Let's just go there. Okay. Now, however, you're responsible. With great power comes great responsibility. Okay, you've created a name for yourself. Congratulations, you're successful in that. Would never take that away from you. You know, you've put in a lot of effort there. however, don't give a shit. Men and women work hard every day of the week and work a lot harder than you do, and then come in here and pay you for your time up here for your entertainment.
You've been
I'm
calling
not
me a
sure-
snowflake this whole time, but now like you've been perpetually getting mad at the people that donate to me. Who's like once again, who's the
No. I know you're
now?
trying to make more money right now, and it's going to happen. Go ahead.
Dude,
Okay.
I'm not trying to make more money. I'm just pointing out that you're literally whining, right, unprovoked, uncaused, for like the third time about people donating to me. Right? Like we were just trying to have a debate, all right, about like if the issue is like me calling Trump an authoritarian or him actually being one in the first place, right? And then you respond to that by saying, people work harder than you, then they send you their money and I don't understand why. Like, dude, Liam.
No, I just think that if your ego gets to a level where it's like, hey, these people are giving me all this money because I'm so valuable in what I do, and they're like my little cronies down here in the box, you know, and I just think it's a little bit disingenuous. That's fine, but you know.
Okay.
No,
so, yeah,
no shade, bro.
Individuals donated to me is disingenuous. It just sounds like you're mad.
I mean, you sit on your ass and, you know, you play with your fingers, you know, and stuff. And, you know, and you talk to people and yell at people and make funny jokes. I mean, and this is worth a lot of money, right?
Oh, speaking of money, Joshua, thank you so much for the $50 super chat over on YouTube. Joshua, dude, thank you so much. Let's go to get 500 big Joshua W's down below in that comment section. Joshua says, bro, he's only embarrassed for you while he's the one caught in 4K taking a dookie on live on TikTok. Delusional is an understatement. Appreciate you for the $50, as well as Cal. Thank you so much for the $20 over on super chat as well. Money. Appreciate that, Cal. Cal says, I'm embarrassed for Liam's neurons. They must be so bored never being put to work. As well as Chris, thank you so much for the $20 over on YouTube Super Chat, who says perma ban and Liam. Dude, the people want you gone, Liam. I'm gonna keep it blunt with you. I'm gonna be honest. As well as let's see here, Darius, thank you for the 5. Emily, thank you for the 10. Amber, thank you for the 2. Let's see here, Alice, thank you so much for the $50 over on Venmo. I appreciate you for that love, Alice. Alice with the $50. Let's get 500 Alice W's. Says thank you for all that you do. Thank you so much for the love, Alice. And Brady, thank you so much for the $30 on Venmo, who says Liam is pathetic and the complete antithesis to everything a man should be. Oh my God, Bradley, holy fuck, you're cooking. Thank you for the $30, Bradley, and $50, Alice. Can I get a quick like W Bradley, W Alice from you?
Do you advocate for swatting and doxing of people that come up and debate with you?
No, the same way I didn't really appreciate it when somebody on the right swatted the old house that I lived in and almost got the current homeowner killed. Megan, thank you for the $5 over on Venmo, saying just a little contribution to your therapy fund and a block boost. What a turd, dude! You guys want it. Maybe I should be pro democracy and just do what the people want, right? Gina, thank you so much for the $5 on PayPal, who says, how dare we spend our money on whatever we choose to in a free country? Oh yeah, now you're trying to take their liberties and freedoms away. You're trying to tell them what they should or shouldn't be able to spend their money on. As well as Emma with the $5, Iris with the $5, Serenity with the 2, Brett with the 5, and Scarlett with the 2. Appreciate you guys so much for your kindness. Can I get a big W from you?
Yeah, I think, going back to the conversation, I think that bipartisan, would probably be the best thing we could possibly do in this country at this point. And
after you finish telling the left that they've incited
this No Kings failure 2.0,
you can't call it a failure when it's literally the largest single day protest in American history. You're mad.
No, I'm not mad, dude. I just think that it came right at the perfect time where 20 hostages were freed and the ceasefire happened. I don't know if I saw too many cardboard cutouts that said "Thank you, Trump," for just for settling the unalivings that are happening of all the women and children.
I talked to you quite a bit before the election. Did you ever thank Biden for the 143 hostages that his administration got released?
Was that Obama or Biden?
That was Biden.
No, that was Obama.
Obama wasn't president in 2021 through 2020.
Yeah, he was. He said that he would only run a third term if he could be behind the scenes, and he wouldn't be the face. So yeah, he was also vice president. Biden was his vice president. So yeah, they had a friendship going there. So he definitely was involved, whether you believe he was or not.
Okay, so then you're just saying that not only Biden
so that was his third term,
but
and there was
Obama did this.
There was an auto pen involved as well, dude.
So now you're just saying that it wasn't just Biden that did this good thing, but also Obama. So could you say thank you, Obama, the same way you want me to say thank you, Trump? Say thank you, Obama. Say thank you, Obama and Biden. Say it.
Yeah, thank you, Obama, for making tougher for
Oh, you're not going to do
immigrants-
it. He can't do it.
immigrants
He
to
can't-
come into this
he,
country.
He can't do it. Lee, thank you for the $20 over on Venmo, who says, Dean, here's $20 for jealous Liam money. Appreciate you for the $20, Lee. As well as Lindsay, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo, who says, Trump posted an AI video of him bombing New York City with shit featuring AI Harry. POTUS bullying a 20-something-year-old content creator. MAGA is now calling for Harry to be deported after CK seems awfully reckless. Dude, yeah, I saw that. That's just completely egregious. Yeah, that is insane. Thank you for the $10, Lindsay. Lee, thank you for the $20. Nicole, thank you so much for the $20 as well over on Venmo, who says, this guy's literally trying to blame you for CK Killer's mental state. That is literal psychological/emotional abuse. Here's money for the therapy fund. You are loved and appreciated. Don't worry, Nicole. I don't take it too seriously because who the hell could ever take Liam too seriously, especially after he was caught debating on TikTok Live while taking a shit. Appreciate you for the love, Nicole. Show some love to Nicole down below. I really appreciate you so much for your kindness. As well as, let's see here, Heather Moore, thank you so much for the $50 over on Venmo. I appreciate you so much for the love. Dude, show some love to Heather Moore down below in that comment section for the 50 big ones over on Super Chat. Not as big as the shit that Liam was taking on live, though. Appreciate you, though, still yet, nonetheless. Thank you for the $50. As well as I Don't Mind It. Thank you so much for the $10 over on Super Chat. Appreciate you so much for your kindness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Kyle, thank you so much for the $50 over on PayPal as well. You guys are going insane. Show some goddamn diddly darn love to Kyle down below in that box right now. Thank you so much for the love. Kyle says, we crowdfunded a ban for Liam in Santana's chat. Absolutely horrible person with no intelligence or accountability. Yeah, we won't even need to crowdfund that here. Watch what's going to happen.
Dean,
next.
question for you. How much?
Muted, Dictator Dean. Aisha, thank you for the dollar over on
Honesty.
PayPal. Hey, Candace, one moment. Candace, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. Laureate with the 5. Brooke with the 5. Tanya with the 5. Abigail, thank you for the $15, who says your patience with this clown is impeccable. Thank you so much. Aaron with the 5. Ashton with the 5. And Laureate with the 5. We are all caught up. I really appreciate you guys so much for the love, Liam. One quick question for you. What do you do to soccer ball?
Dog walk it like I do you every day.
Oh, yeah, you were really dog walking me today, especially when you pivoted around every single argument
So,
that I made. You were able to effectively respond to every single counter argument that I made in
tax
response to every single one
returns.
of your points. And then you just ended
Answer
up
my-
proving that you yourself are a raging fucking hypocrite, with example number 1 being accusing me of being a snowflake, then whining about my donations. Example number 2 saying you accusing me of being anti-democracy, then actively supporting Trump, even though he tried to thwart democracy in 2020. And when I laid out to you how, you just completely pivoted and ignored me. Then example number 3 arguing that you wanted a fair and free country, then attempting to tell people that they shouldn't be able to spend their free money on donations to me. Take care, Liam. Dog walked. Moving on to the next guest. Let's go to get that next Trump supporter loaded up into the stream. Only hop in that queue if and only if you are an American adult that is pro-Trump, and we'll happily get you loaded up in here. Here we go. In the meantime, folks, make sure that we're double tapping on that phone screen on TikTok and dropping a like over on YouTube. Today's stream is definitely a hectic one. Boy, oh boy. It is hectic today. Go ahead and put a me with your age down below in that comment section if you happen to be an American adult that is pro-Trump. I would love to have you up here to have a conversation. And once again, if you do want to support me, you can find my Venmo and my PayPal in the link tree in my bio over on TikTok, as well as in that pinned message on the YouTube stream. And we are right now actively looking for that next Trump supporter to come up here and to give us a piece of their mind. We got...
Dean, you've met your match with me, buddy. It's the one and only Donald J. Trump. And I...
Very nice. 10 out of 10. What's up, Paige? Do you support Trump?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How old are you?
Hi, I'm 19 years old.
Awesome. Sounds good. I'm going to thank 4 people, and then I'll pass you the mic, and we can have a debate. Joshua, thank you for the $50 over on YouTube. Joshua with the $50 says, this guy and elder millennial are a brown and yellow stain on America's legacy. I gotta say, Liam and the older millennial do really fucking suck. So I'm gonna have to be inclined to agree with here. Thank you so much for your kindness. $50 is a shit ton of money. Huge shout out to you, Joshua. Show some love to Joshua in that chat. Let's get 500 big Joshua W's, as well as Gabby. Appreciate you for the $10 over on Super Chat. Didn't leave a message, only the love. Thank you so much for your kindness. Jessica, thank you so much for the $10 in PayPal, who says thank you for what you do. It's entertaining, but it also spreads awareness. Dude, that's honestly kind of what I go for. You know what I mean? Thank you so much for the $10. As well as CGS, thank you for the $15 on PayPal. CGS says thank you for all your factual research from Cheryl. Thank you, Cheryl. Huge shout out to Cheryl. As well as Jacob with the $10 on Venmo, who says keep up the amazing work. Thank you. And Baxter, thank you for the $2 over on Venmo. And then one last big one here. Holy shit. And then, oh my God, Joseph. dude, thank you so much for the $100 donation over on PayPal. Joseph, that is outrageous of you. Thank you so much. Joseph with $100 says the gift of awakening hearts of compassion is radiance of love, and it benefits all. Joshua, thank you so much for the $100. The incredibly well thought out message as well. Literally, that's a quote, put it on the wall. And I really appreciate you for being here. Just thank you so much for your support. That is an insane amount of love. You are so incredibly generous. I do not deserve that. Thank you, Joshua. While we're passing the mic off to Peyton to tell us why he supports Trump, show some love to the 2 Joshuas, show some love to Gabby, Jacob, Baxter, and all the incredibly kind donors. Take it away, man. Why are you MAGA?
Oh, great. Yeah. So before I go into that, are you going to say thank you to Trump for, the whole thing when everybody was going crazy about free Palestine, free Palestine, that actually happened, and then the order happened, and he did kind of end the war. Are you going to thank Trump?
Israel killed 12 Palestinians like last night. So I mean, I'm not so sure that conflict is over.
But to be fair, the high majority of the change will be changed, since obviously they already signed the peace, whatever the hell it's called.
Well, I mean, do you think that peace includes like killing 12 innocent Palestinians?
No, I don't. It's
okay.
It's
all right,
cool.
Awesome. So then there's no peace. So why do you support Trump?
But I think it's a big change from blood. Okay, but I'm going to say this though on an actual fact here, is that but yes, it's wrong that 12 people were pew-pewed and they were but if you look at the actual points on.
Have I debated you before?
Me no.
Have you debated Parker before?
Parker, yes.
Okay, all right. I think I was actually there for that debate. Like I was on the panel.
Okay, cool. But anyways, I don't know where that came from. But anyways, you're good. But it's a lot less than what it was.
I have debated Peyton before. The reason I remember that I've debated Peyton very viscerally is because I have a stutter. I have a speech impediment. I mean, it's like for the most part, like you can't hear it. But when I talk to somebody with a stutter, then it like causes mine to like flare up, and it gets like super noticeable. And I remember talking to Peyton and like having my stutter flare up, then having to like make it clear that I wasn't like mocking him. And that's just like a weird psychological byproduct of like possessing a stutter, is when you talk to somebody else that also has a stutter, then your own stutter like also flares up. I remember that conversation. So I have already talked to Peyton. What is going on, Nick? Do you support Trump?
I do, yeah.
Okay, how do you?
23.
Okay, and why do you support Trump?
I support Trump just because I personally think he's the better option. I'm a Christian, and I think that, whether or not you believe his intentions, I think that he has good intentions, and I think they're just misconstrued a lot.
Okay. Do you think that he's a good Christian?
I'm not going to speak on another man's faith. I just know that he is a Christian, and so am I, so that's just one reason.
Yeah, well, he's actually not.
Okay. You shouldn't speak on someone's faith either.
Well, it's not me speaking on his faith. It's the Bible speaking on his faith. James 2 says that faith without works is dead. There's necessary works that must be combined with faith in order to be a Christian. We agree that
everybody sins. Everybody sins.
Could we agree that being that one of those necessary works in order to like maintain a relationship with Jesus and to be a Christian would be to repent for your sins?
I can agree that if you sin, then you should make it right with God, and that God will forgive you. And I think that every single human does it, and there's only been one perfect human being, and that is God.
Right.
So yeah.
But if you don't repent to God for your sins, then you're not like fulfilling the necessary works in order to be a Christian, right? Like you have to repent.
And are you saying that he doesn't do that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so like you're with him at night, like when he's praying, asking for forgiveness in his sins. Then that's kind of crazy to say.
Or even better than that, he said he's never asked God to forgive any of his sins.
Okay. Well, I've said a lot of things that I don't mean either.
Okay. So now you're just not going to believe the words that Trump says. So how do you decipher what Trump says that he means and what Trump says that he doesn't mean?
That's a good question, man. I mean, like I said, dude, I just think that everybody sins, and
you're not answering my question, right? Because like I just said, I was just able to give you like an incredibly compelling argument to demonstrate that Donald Trump is not a Christian, because he says he's never had to repent for any of his sins to God, and you have to repent for your sins to God in order to be a Christian, to maintain a relationship with Jesus, etc., so on and so forth, right? And then you're like, well, how do you know he's never repented, right? Then like I just pointed towards the fact that he said he's never repented, and then you hopped in there with like the age-old excuse of saying, well, he didn't mean it when he said it. Okay, well, what it sounds like to me is that you're just going to like reject what Donald Trump says, right? When what he says go against against what you believe about him, and then you're going to accept what Donald Trump says, even if he doesn't actually say it or do it, when it doesn't go against, but rather, right, coincides with what you already agree with him about, right? So this is like an example of like confirmation bias. And just basically what I'm asking you is, could you demonstrate, right, that this isn't just a form of confirmation bias, and that you actually have some type of like logical parameter or set of logical parameters that you use to decipher, like when Donald Trump says something, if he means it or not? Like, on what basis are you disputing the notion that when he said that he's never asked God for forgiveness for any of his sins, he didn't actually mean it?
That's a good. I mean, no, I can't prove it if he meant that or not. No, of course not.
Okay, so that's just a baseless assumption driven by your own confirmation bias. Don't you agree that's an issue?
I wouldn't say it's an issue. I think that, it's just a misjudge, if anything. But I see where you're coming from. But
I think it's an issue.
Okay, well, I appreciate your concern.
Okay. So
can I ask you a question?
Not a Christian.
Okay, dude, you shouldn't talk about people's faith like that, man.
Once again, it's not me, it's James.
Okay. Cool deal, dude. I like the other guy said, I don't agree with everything he said, but you kind of just go in a lot of circles. So, I do appreciate your time, though, and I'm trying to be peaceful, and I respect you as a man. And
let's be peaceful. I mean,
no, I am, dude.
If you don't think that circle of me being like, hey, James in the Bible says that in order to be a Christian, like, you have to do the works, and one of those works would be repentance for your sins, and Donald Trump says he's never done that, therefore he's not a Christian. Like, if you think that's not me giving like a really like simple and easy to track argument, but
you really believe that he has never done that when he do you really believe that he has not done that when he goes to church and he prays? Like, of course he has, dude. He said, that he says stuff. Everybody says stuff that they don't mean. It can be taken the wrong way. Of course he's
so that could be an argument, but you just have to be able to demonstrate reason, right? For
dude,
you to believe
of course I can't fully prove that. I don't go to his church. I'm not there when he prays.
How do you know that he meant it when he said he goes to church?
Dude, everybody knows that he goes to church, okay?
Oh, how do you know that?
Because I've seen pictures and videos of him in church.
I mean, I saw a picture of him standing outside at like the front of a church to try to sell his Bible for $60.
Are you saying that you don't think he ever goes to church?
I don't think that he goes to church on a weekly basis, but even in going to church, just stepping inside of a building doesn't allow you to repent for your sins. You have to ask for forgiveness first.
Of course, I agree with that.
Right,
and I just choose to believe that he does. Okay, that's all.
So you choose to ignore reality. I get it. Actually, I don't.
You don't have to, bro. You have your own opinions, and I respect them.
Okay. Well, I feel like I've been able to demonstrate why your opinion is like very irrational and illogical here, because Donald Trump said your opinion is false, and yet you still choose to believe that it's not false, even though he told you it's false.
Okay.
Right?
Well, I appreciate
imagine
your time,
if we're trying to like examine like the mental states of somebody, right? You're trying to examine like my mental states, and you assume that like Dean is a really good person that like cares, right, about everybody else on this earth. And then in response to that, right, imagine that you then ask me, so Dean, are you a really good person that cares about everybody else alive? Because you think I'm a good person that cares about everybody else alive. And then I'm like, no, I'm a bad person. And I'm going to be honest, I do not care about anybody else on this earth outside of me. Can we agree that it obviously be irrational for you to then take away the notion that I do care about everybody else alive and I'm a good person, even though I just told you that's explicitly false?
Yeah, you're kind of just rambling now, dude. You kind of lost me. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, I lost it because it wasn't like crayon on paper. It was like
no, you had me for a little bit, and then you just started spitballing, and I just.
Okay, I'll try again. So you think that I'm a good person that cares about everybody else alive, okay? And then somebody asks me if I'm a good person that cares about everybody else alive, and I tell them that I'm not a good person, and I do not care about everybody else that is alive. Would you therefore say it would be irrational if you were to continue to think that I'm a good person that cares about everybody else alive because I told you otherwise?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so therefore, you think that Donald Trump repents for his sins to God. Somebody asked Donald Trump if he repented for his sins to God. Donald Trump said, no, I do not repent for my sins to God. Therefore, it is irrational for you to continue to think from that point forward that Donald Trump repents for his sins to God.
I don't know. I'd have to do more research on it, dude. Like I said, I believe that he does, and he said something, and you're just kind of running with it, but I get it. It's a point, and you have... it's obviously you can put me in a corner because I can't pull up a clip right now or try and find something. But
you conceded to the logic that would entail that conclusion. But the matter of the fact is that you don't really care about logic to entail reasonable conclusions when it comes to your support for Trump, because that's an irrational, illogical thing to begin with.
Have you always not liked Trump?
No, I used to like him when I was 14.
When you were 14?
Yeah.
Why'd you like him?
Because I was 14.
No, that's not an answer. Why did you like him?
Because
Tell your fans why you liked him.
Because I think my family told me to.
Oh. And then you did research and you liked him for reasons, or you just
Oh no!
chose to
Once I did my research, I stopped supporting him.
Oh, so maybe like when you're like 14 and a half or 15.
January 6, 2021 is when I stopped supporting him.
That's very odd that you have that date saved.
Dude, that's like the date of the insurrection. I remember that date, and I very like vividly remember my thought processes insofar as like why on that date I stopped supporting him. Because at that point, right, it wasn't even a question about if his policy was effective, but more so was the question on if he was an effective leader that could actually bring the people together and not divide the people. Because like regardless of how effective his policy could be in theory, right, in application, if you are implementing that policy into a divided electorate where people cannot come together, well, then he's just an ineffective bad leader, right? And I remember on January 6th, right, that proved to me, and hopefully like proved to everybody else, inevitably it didn't, right, that he's an ineffective bad leader that shouldn't be president because of how much he divides this country and everybody in it.
Yeah, fair enough. I see your point. I have a question for you. Like, I don't know, man. I just like whenever I'm doing research and like, for example, like every time a guest is on, you ask the question of like, well, how can you prove that if Kamala Harris were president right now, the country would be worse off? That's kind of what you've been asking them, right?
Yeah, so I ask that question to people when they tell me that, they support Trump because he thinks that he's the lesser of two evils, and that if Kamala Harris was elected, like things would be worse. So of course the next question is like, can you prove it?
Like, I don't even think that you believe what you're saying. Like, she was a joke, dude. What do you think she did, and what do you think she would have done if she was president? That's like, let's flip the question on you. Like, how do you think the country would be right now if she was president?
It'd be awesome. Well,
why is
I
that?
should say better than it is.
Why is that? Why would it be awesome? No, you said it'd be awesome, so let's go with that. Why would it be awesome? Why would the country be awesome?
Well, I think I'll revise my statement to better than it is.
Okay. Why do you think that?
Yeah, because if Kamala Harris was elected, one second.
Yeah, no worries.
Artillery shell prematurely detonated over California interstate, damaging Vance security detail vehicle. 1 second. We got to listen to this.
Yeah, no worries.
During the 250th Marine Corps celebrations that shut down Interstate 5 yesterday in California, detonated prematurely over the interstate, damaging one of the vehicles in JD Vance's security detail. This is a bombshell story. I exclusively first reported that Interstate 5 would have to be shut down as Trump was literally shooting artillery from Navy ships into Camp Pendleton for this vanity parade, for this show of force. People said, well, I was fear-mongering for that. Well, now we have confirmation that an artillery shell literally prematurely detonated over the Interstate 5. Now, thankfully, it was closed. Governor Newsom actually shut down the interstate temporarily because of these live fire drills. But JD Vance's security detail was still on the highway, and according to the Times, one of the vehicles was damaged. This wasn't fear-mongering. It was the truth. Spread the word because people need to know about this.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Well, that one's easy. If Kamala Harris was elected, she wouldn't have played fucking totalitarian authoritarian, declared war in American cities by saying that the real enemy is the enemy from within, then sending the military into these cities. And then when the people protest sending the military into these cities and a declaration of war on cities by the president of the country, then like attempting to shut down an interstate in California, right, to prevent the No King's Day protests, and then like fucking blowing up artillery shells and damaging the interstate and cars on it, okay? Right? If Kamala Harris was elected, that wouldn't have happened. Country would have been better, right?
I'm not sure. She's not elected.
Well, no, the fact of the matter is...
she's a bit of a joke. That's all.
I mean, the only joke here is you. I mean, right? Oh, Kamala Harris is a joke. Guess what? Donald Trump is a rapist.
Oh, okay. See, now you're just... That's crazy. Here's my thing is, dude, like, what are your thoughts on the whole, like, her changing her accent and all that stuff? Like, come on, dude. Like,
okay. Yeah, and on any normal day, I would sit here and I'd give you an explanation on what code switching is, right, and how it's like not wrong and is like completely like normal and perfectly expected due to the fact of racist societal conditioning surrounding AAVE and what it is. But like, come on, bro, what's worse? Code switching or raping a woman? What's worse? Code switching or declaring war in American cities? What's worse? Code switching or being best buddies with Epstein and then sending him a letter depicting the outline of a naked woman or a little girl with the statement, "May every new day be another wonderful secret"? What's worse? Code switching or being found guilty for 34 felony? What's worse? Code switching or violating the First Amendment by literally saying that it is now illegal to criticize the government in the media, right?
Naming one, I mean, all right, bro. Like, what do you think about?
Question. You want me to name you one what?
No, I'm curious what you think about her when like she faked being on the phone call. Like, I just think she's a joke, man.
Why is she a joke?
Tell me what she did.
Well, sure. All right. Well, she worked alongside Biden to pass some of the most monumental policy in modern American history, like the PACT Act to fund the VA $800 million to allow an additional million veterans to access VA healthcare resources that didn't have that coverage prior. She also worked with Biden to pass the CHIPS and Science Act to bump our supply of the global chip reduction from sub 1% to close to 30 by incentivizing American builders to build chip manufacturing facilities. We already see them popping up in Arizona and Idaho. She also worked on the infrastructure bill to fund American infrastructure $1 trillion over the course of 10 years to not just create new jobs, but to renew our infrastructure and stimulate the economy following COVID, which led to us having the quickest rebound out of any other country in the G7 following the economic pit we were put into by the pandemic. But honestly, I just find that question very disingenuous, right? Because the assumption there, right, is that I wouldn't be able to tell you that something that she did when she was serving as vice president, because let's face the facts, most Americans don't know what vice presidents do. So I want you to prove that question was not disingenuous by telling me one thing that any vice president in history has ever done.
No, I mean, I wasn't trying to be disingenuous. I just noticed as I watch your stream that you ask that question every single time. So all I was trying to do is ask you the reverse version of the question. So if you're going to try and play victim now and say it's disingenuous, that's just kind of crazy, but I'll apologize.
Can you name one thing that any vice president in American history has ever done outside of the things that I just named to Ferris?
Well, it's hard, dude. And that's like I said, you're really good at angling your questions, but no, I mean, I'd have to. I'm a little bit unprepared. I could do some research on it, but it's a tough question. But I appreciate your time.
So in the same way, like you asked me, like to name a handful of things that Kamala Harris did, and I was able to name like 4 off the top of my head.
Well, because you do this for a living, bro. You have the time. Like this is your job. You're supposed to know.
But like you should are still supposed to know what like a candidate has done or wants to do if you're going to support.
Yeah, no, for sure. But
so can you name like a handful of things that Donald Trump has done that you support?
I could. I just don't have enough time.
Well, you don't have enough time to like give me one sentence?
Dude, I just think that he's better for us. I don't think anybody's going to mess with us when he's here because they know what's going to happen. For me, that's a big deal.
You just had enough time, right? Because you just had a handful of sentences. So now take that time and tell me like one thing that Trump has ever done that you're a fan of.
No, yeah, dude, I really like how he like. Nobody's going to mess with us when Trump's in office.
That's not an example of something that he did that you support. What are we doing?
Dude, but it's true. Like, you know that we're a stronger country.
Listen,
can you agree that other countries are more...
I know that it's false, right? But that you're pivoting, right? I want you to answer my direct question. What is like one thing Trump has done that you like?
He has made it very clear to other countries that if you're to mess with the United States of America, there's going to be repercussions.
How so?
And you know that that's true.
How has he done that?
Dude. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm just asking a clarifying question to identify like one specific non-vague thing Trump has done, right, that you support, right? Because even that sentence is vague.
I've seen multiple press conferences, or whatever you want to call, where he says that what's going to happen if you mess with America.
What's going to happen when you mess with America? Can we get a quote?
Dude, no, this isn't my job. I don't have quotes.
No. I mean, what happened when Russia messed with America, right?
Do you think
what happened? No, seriously, I want to ask you a question. What happened when Russia messed with America, right? Was paying American political influencers $500,000 per month, like Tim Pool and Benny Johnson, to push pro-Trump, pro-Republican, and pro-Kremlin misinformation, like the notion that we're just giving too much money to Ukraine. So then inevitably Donald Trump would run on that, and then when Donald Trump won the election, Donald Trump inevitably defunded Ukraine because he thought then Putin would be willing to negotiate a ceasefire peace agreement, and then Putin took advantage of the fact that Ukraine was weaker and there's less international pressure on them to end their invasion of Ukraine due to the fact that then Ukraine had less funding and aid to run their military and fight Russia back. So then Russia dropped the most bombs they ever have on the state, and there was no peace agreement or ceasefire in sight. I think that's an example of another country successfully messing with us.
There you go. Yeah, no, like I said, you're very prepared. I just choose to believe that we are safer with him in office.
Right, and choose to believe with no reason. Thank you.
We can agree to disagree, man. I appreciate your time.
Well, the agreement to disagree is like predicated on me having reason to find you to be wrong and you having no reason to find me to be wrong. I'm thinking logically, you're thinking emotionally. I'm not too big of a fan of that. I think that we should all think a little bit more rationally when it comes to politics, because politics do influence outcomes of the day-to-day lives of not just the average American, but people on the global stage. It is important for us to care about the well-being and safety of people. It is important for us to care about human flourishment. And when we're like addressing politics, because politics is what runs governments, right? We need to do so very rationally to like exercise a principle of attempting to like increase like the flourishment of humanity. And obviously you didn't do that when you voted for Trump in the election because you did so without any good reason. And I guess now we're agreeing to disagree because I have facts and you don't. And I just find that to be completely belligerent in accordance with the goal of seeking truth and in accordance with the goal of genuinely doing what is best fit for the future of this country.
Okay, hey, you have the right to feel that, man. I hope you have a good night. God bless you, all right?
Okay, he's heading out. I guess you know who I really want God to bless, right? Is the 26 women that have accused Donald Trump of raping them. I really want God to bless E. Jean Carroll, right, and bring her happiness and bring her safety after Donald Trump raped her in the 90s, and then she was able to successfully find him guilty of that inside of a civil court. And then Donald Trump's response was to turn around and say that she should be thrown in jail. God should bless Letitia James and James Comey, right, who right now are being politically prosecuted by Donald Trump's administration and by his AG Pam Bondi. You know, God should bless the 10 million Americans that just lost access to health care because Donald Trump took it away from them under the big beautiful bill to fund $4.5 trillion worth of tax cuts for the wealthiest among us.
I'm sorry, was that a question or you just...
No, it was a statement telling you how I feel. I guess we could I guess we could agree to disagree on that too, right?
No, I never said that, but yeah. Right. Have a great night, dude. Like I said, I appreciate your time.
All right, we're going to move on to the next guest. Hop in that queue if you happen to be an American adult that supports Trump. All right, let's go to get that next guest loaded up in here right now. Folks, make sure if you are in that queue that you are MAGA and you are ready to come up here and have a conversation with me. We got CK loading up into the box. Hey, listen, Berkeley, thank you so much for the $5 over on Venmo. Appreciate you for that love, Berkeley. Thank you so much. As well as Mallory, thank you so much for the $15 over in Venmo, sending me a link to Donald Trump saying he's never getting into heaven. Thank you so much. I should have that queued up. Thank you for the $15, Mallory. Show some love to Mallory. What's up, CK? Do you support Trump?
Yes.
How old are you?
15.
All right, man. You got to be 18 to be on TikTok Live. We're going to move on to the next guest, everyone. Just make sure that you are of age, you are a Trump supporter, so on and so forth. Zach, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo, who once again said this. He was sharing the same thing that Mallory said, just saying that Donald Trump literally told a reporter the other day that he's not going to make it into heaven. I saw that too. Yeah, no, definitely a Christian, right? What's up, man? Do you support Trump?
You can hear me?
Yeah, you're on the live. Are you MAGA?
I didn't know I'd get accepted, to be honest.
Well, you
But yeah, I do, bro.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 22.
All right, I'm going to thank 3 people, then I'm going to pass you the mic. Again, Candace, thank you so much for the $10 on Super Chat, who says, hey, Dean, I hope you have a great day or great night. Thank you, Candace. That is very, very kind of you. As well as Veronica, thank you so much for the $40 on PayPal. Veronica with the 40 big ones says, hey, Dean, sending something to show some support for what you do. I love your debates and I love your arguments. Have a lovely day. Saying hi from Europe. Well, shout out to you, Veronica. Shout out to Europe. All the love to you. And thank you so much for the $40. Let's get 400 Veronica big W's down below in that box. As well as Stephanie, thank you for the 10. Stephanie says for the headache and therapy, appreciate that. And then Nathalie, thank you for the $11 over on PayPal as well. I appreciate you so much for your kindness. If you're watching right now and you want to support me, you want to support the stream and what we do here, you can find my Venmo, my PayPal, and the link tree in my bio and TikTok, and you can find it in the pinned message on that YouTube stream. I appreciate you guys so much for all your kindness today. Now, Mr. Guest, Mr. Blake, take it away. Why do you support the worst president of your lifetime, Mr. Donald J. Trump?
Yeah, bro. I'm gonna have to go soon, but I just wanted to know: do you support Kamala?
Kamala? Yeah, she was pretty good in the election. Big fan of like what she ran on for the most part.
All right, I just want to know why.
Well, what I'd recommend you do is go to your TikTok search bar and type in Dean Withers, Kamala Harris, and I bet you could find me speaking for minutes on end about why I supported her in the election about a year ago. But I mean, it's a little bit old news at this point, right?
Well, could you just tell me a couple things? Because
I'll tell you like one thing, just because you want to know. She ran on tax cuts for 130 million American workers and alone the middle class, which would have reduced the high levels of income inequality we're suffering from in America right now, which is an imperative, something we should really be focused on, considering our current levels of income inequality are equal to France before the French Revolution. Now, what's one reason you support Trump?
Because he's a businessman.
He's a businessman, so you think that he's like really good with his economic policy?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
so what's your favorite Trump economic policy?
I don't know. To be honest, I really like that. I like that he put the tariffs on just a week ago because that means stocks are going to go down, and then I could buy more, and then it's going to go back up.
Did stocks go down during the Great Depression?
Yes.
Did they go back up after the Great Depression was over?
Yeah.
So if Donald Trump caused the Great Depression 2.0, the stocks would go down and back up again?
He's not causing the Great Depression, but what do you mean?
But listen, if he did cause the Great Depression 2.0, the stocks would go down and back up again. So therefore, if he did cause the Great Depression 2.0, would you support that?
I don't really know what you're asking.
I think what I'm asking is clear, right? You told me that you like his tariffs because they cause the stocks to go down and back up again, so it's a good buying opportunity. Okay, during the Great Depression, the stocks went down because of it, and then once it was over, they went back up again, making it a good buying opportunity, right? Therefore, according to your logic, if Donald Trump did cause the second Great Depression, you'd say that's a good thing that he's doing because it caused the stocks to go down, then inevitably they'd go back up again.
Right.
So if he did cause it, would you support it for the same reasons you support his tariffs today?
No, but he's not causing the Great Depression.
Wait, why wouldn't you support it if it made the stocks go down then back up again?
It's not a Great Depression, bro. It's a tariff.
Answer my question. Why wouldn't you support it even if it made the stocks go down then back up again?
Because the Great Depression was caused from banks completely shutting down.
Oh, so you're saying, well, you wouldn't support it even though it caused the stocks to go down and up because it hurt people by shutting banks down. Well, guess what? Tariffs hurt people by causing inflation. And, you spend more on what you consume, the less money you make proportionate to your income, meaning that inflation is disproportionately hurting poor people. Oh, and it caused our GDP to go down in the first quarter of this year. It's causing mass layoffs all over the country. So yeah, because they because the tariffs hurt people, you shouldn't support them, even if they cause the stocks to go down then back up again.
So you don't like the tariffs?
Yeah, that should be clear. Can you respond to the last argument I gave you?
What do you want me to say about that?
I want you to respond to my effective refutation of your point that the tariffs are good because they cause the stocks to go down then back up again.
Bro, I just believe I don't have as much of the knowledge that you do about like all these different policies. I'm gonna be completely honest.
Okay.
I just look at Trump as a businessman and honestly a role model.
Okay, I don't know because
he worked very hard to get to where he was.
Would you ever would you ever say that Jeffrey Epstein is a good role model?
Oh, probably not.
Would you ever say that Diddy is a good role model?
Probably not.
Would you ever say that Jeffrey Dahmer is a good role model?
Okay, bro. No, I would not.
Right, and you would say that these people aren't good role models because they've done like violent, heinous things, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so it's Trump. A court determined that he raped a woman, and he boasted on Howard Stern's podcast about sexually exploiting the naked bodies of young girls and women at Miss Teen USA and Miss USA on August 21st, 2005.
Well, I don't know if that's true or not, but if that is true, that's absolutely horrible. I don't like that.
Okay.
I'm not supporting that, bro. I'm just supporting that he's a great businessman.
Okay, well, now you're pivoting off the point because you just tried to argue that he's a good role model, and I just gave you compelling reason to believe that he's not a good role model. Could you please respond to it without pivoting?
I'm not pivoting, bro.
You're pivoting from your argument that he's a good role model to the position.
Bro, the reason that I think
the position that he's a good businessman.
The reason I think he's a good role model is because he's great at business. I don't think he's a good role model if he touched women.
Dude, Jeffrey Epstein was a billionaire. He was great at business too. Therefore, you'd say that he was a good role model regardless of what he did to women and girls.
Bro.
Come on, that's a debater.
You're like putting words in my mouth. I respect people who work hard for their money.
Okay, well, I mean, he got a $220 million dollars from his father when his father passed away. Is that working hard? I don't know, right? But like, once again, if it's all about like him being a businessman, right, him having like a bunch of money, right, and that's what makes him a role model in your mind, and you're just gonna kind of ignore the fact that he's a rapist, ignore the fact that he's sexually exploited girls, so on and so forth. Well, then wouldn't you say that like Jeffrey Epstein is a good role model because he was like very successfully business speaking, and you just gotta like ignore the fact that he was like a huge child sex trafficker?
Yo, I have a question. I'm not going to ignore that. If that is true, that's absolutely horrible. I just respect him for all of his business decisions. But
including the 6 bankruptcies?
What?
Including the 6 bankruptcies?
Yeah, bro. I mean, you sometimes got to lose money to make money.
Okay, well, I mean, can you
that's
point
just how
out
it
like,
is
any
when
other?
you're-
Can you point out? Can you name like one other like successful businessman with 6 bankruptcies that has bankrupted a casino, a university, so on and so forth?
Dude, off the top of my head, no.
Right.
Nobody can.
Right. Because.
But I can name myself, bro. I mean, I've had many ventures go wrong.
Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah, well, I don't really think that you're engaging with the argument. Once again, you're saying that he's a good role model. Then I'm like, well, would you consider all these bad people to be good role models because they've done like violent bad things? And you're like, no. Then I brought up the fact that Donald Trump has done violent bad things, and you're like, well, I still think he's a good role model. I just like kind of ignore the violent bad things that he's done. And the reason I still think he's a good role model is because he's like worth a couple $2 billion. Okay. Well, like, how would you respond to somebody that would tell you that they think Jeffrey Epstein is a good role model because he was a very successful billionaire and they just kind of ignore all the bad things that he did? What would your response be to that argument?
I would say that there's good and bad in every single human being alive.
So would you
And
agree with him? Would you
there are
agree with him
traits-
when they say that Jeffrey Epstein is a good role model?
Bro, there's traits that you can respect off of somebody and be inspired by them.
Oh my god!
But that doesn't have to mean that you support absolutely every decision
Oh
that
my
they
god,
make.
this is insane. This is absolutely nuts. Answer my question. Would you agree or disagree with him when they said that they think that Jeffrey Epstein is a really good role model because he's a billionaire?
Dude, I just answered your question. I said there's traits that you can respect.
It's a yes or no question. You're not giving me a yes or no answer.
Well, because it's not a yes or no answer.
Yes, it is, right? If somebody says
asking-
right, that
you're
they think
asking-
Jeffrey Epstein is a really good role model because he was a billionaire, right? Would you agree with him or would you disagree with him? Which one?
Dude, I think you could just look at different traits and respect that. And be,
Hey, sir, you literally have 15 seconds before I kick you off the live stream. I'm going to start counting now. Answer the question. It is, would you agree or would you disagree with somebody that says Jeffrey Epstein is a good role model because he was worth like billions and billions of dollars?
bro is actually counting. Yes, bro. You could look at somebody as a role model and not respect absolutely all their decisions that they make. You could look at somebody as a role model and not support something that they've done in the past or continue to do just off of the traits that they have.
Oh my god! Was Kamala Harris a role model? Yes or no?
Not to me, because I don't know about him.
So Jeffrey Epstein is a role model, but Kamala Harris isn't. Oh my god, dude!
I mean, she's a role model to a bunch of people. I just said not to me, though.
Oh my god, dude!
I
get off my live, bro. Get off my live. Get it away from me. Oh my god. Moving on to the next guys. What is going on with these Trump supporters today? Like, what, dude? Insane. Incredibly messed up for like a billion different reasons. Holy shit. Why would they admit that? Oh. Jocelyn, thank you for the $25 over on Venmo, who says, I donated yesterday, but it must not have been... Let me go ahead and read the full message here. It must not have been in for the shout out, so I'm being selfish by donating another $25. Also, keep it up. I love what you do. Jocelyn, I'm really sorry that I didn't see your donation yesterday. I try to see every single one, but like ultimately speaking, every day there's like a handful that kind of slip through the cracks. I really appreciate you so much for the love, Jocelyn. Show some extra love to Jocelyn down below in that chat. As well as Laura. Thank you so much for the $50 over on Venmo. Thank you so much for that love, Laura. Show some love to Jocelyn and Laura. Laura, that is so much money. That is so incredibly kind of you. Laura with a $50 says, doing God's work. Laura, thank you so much for your kindness. I want everybody watching to seriously please show some love to Laura and Jocelyn down below in that chat. Thank you both so very, very, very much. As well as Miguel, thank you for the $15 on PayPal. I'm not gonna read off your message, but thank you for the love. As well as Emmanuel, thank you for the $1, and shout out to your wife, Braylon. What is going on? Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, how do you?
26.
Okay. And why do you support Trump?
Oh, my biggest thing was the southern border.
So your name is J6 Protester. Were you there at the Capitol?
I was outside.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on like Donald Trump pardoning some of the protesters that like assaulted police officers on the steps of the Capitol?
I don't have much of an opinion on it. I think if they were badly treated or if they truly deserve the pardon, then I don't really care.
Well, why would you say that anybody that has like assaulted a cop truly deserves a pardon?
Well, you can argue that someone that assaulted a cop could be like in self-defense or whatever. Like,
Well, no, because that's a legal argument that is made in court to determine their innocence or guilt, right? And obviously, those legal arguments didn't hold up, right? And in many scenarios, they weren't even made. Like DJ Rodriguez, for instance, he just admitted to grabbing a stun gun and driving it into Officer Fanone's neck unprovoked, which then gave Officer Fanone a heart attack and almost killed him. Because of that, DJ Rodriguez got sentenced to 12 years in jail, 4 years into his term, the first day of Donald Trump's second administration. He got let out of jail via a full presidential pardon, and then he was labeled a patriot by Trump. And it's funny because you were about to bring up the southern border. Chances are that you really do support Donald Trump's mass deportation. So I guess if you commit a federal misdemeanor, you deserve to be sent to CCOT in El Salvador. But if you try to kill a cop on the steps of our Capitol, all of a sudden you don't have a problem if they're labeled as patriots and allowed to walk free in the streets of this country.
So which one are we going to pivot to? Jan 6 or immigration? Because the people that were sent to CCOT were because they were labeled part of a terrorist organization under the Enemies Act. That was like 230 people. So which one do you want to talk about, Jan 6 or immigration?
Well, they weren't labeled a terrorist by any court. They were labeled a terrorist by Trump. Very similar to how Donald Trump is now labeling anybody that is anti-fascism as a domestic terrorist. Absolutely insane. But I think I kind of want a little bit of a further explanation here insofar as like why you think somebody that tried to kill a cop on the steps of the Capitol deserves to be like labeled as a patriot and let out of jail.
I would have to like everything that you're saying, but if that's all true, then no, probably he shouldn't have been pardoned.
Okay. So
if you're painting exactly how you are, which I doubt, but
so then you stand for pro-crime.
Pro-crime.
Well, you got an echo.
Well, you got an echo now.
That's making it very hard. So then you stand for a pro-crime president.
Because I disagree with a single pardon.
No,
like I don't think
because you support
really
Donald Trump as president, and Donald Trump pardoned 72 people that were like found guilty of like violent assault on police officers on the steps of the Capitol. They called them patriots too.
Do you think those people were mistreated at all?
I can't identify any mistreatment of people like DJ Rodriguez. No. Can you?
Yeah, there's allegations of mistreatment to those people. A lot of them were held in solitary confinement.
Okay, so point number one. Can you please show me that allegation as it would relate to somebody like DJ Rodriguez? And then point number two, if people that are in jail for like violent offenses are mistreated, I don't think the adequate response is to call them patriots and to let them out of jail. It's to stop the mistreatment, but still have them in jail.
Do you think
point
someone
number three, but Trump obviously didn't pardon anybody because of supposed mistreatment, because if he was only specifically pardoning individuals for mistreatment, then he wouldn't have given pardons to everybody, even those that weren't mistreated, like DJ Rodriguez. And then point number four, you're saying allegations of mistreatment.
Yeah, similar to the allegations that you like believe from Abreu Garcia, right? But anyways, do you think someone that made it into the Capitol?
Wait, obviously, like you don't believe like the allegations that Abreu Garcia made about being beaten and tortured in CCOT, right?
Right, because the people in CCOT released the footage of him staying in his cell.
Yeah, a week before he alleged it occurred. And now you're saying that, well, because it's an allegation that you don't believe it. But now if it is an allegation as it relates to the J6 offenders, then you believe it. But no, answer the question. Why do you side with a pro-crime president that tried to coup our government, rig the outcome of the 2020 election by installing fake votes for himself in Congress, had his supporters, right, go into the Capitol, right? Some of them, like, try to kill cops like DJ Rodriguez. Then they went to jail for it, right? And then he let them out of jail and labeled them as patriots. How could anybody that is, like, pro, law and order, right, and anti-crime ever support a president that has done these things?
Can we just real quick address the fact that you want to debate Jan 6 and not immigration because you know you can't defend illegal immigration? But I mean, I'll still address this Jan 6 thing. Can you just concede that?
Jesus Christ. Okay. No, I'm not going to concede that if I'm not debating something with you, then I can't debate it with you. Yeah, listen, man. We're not debating. We're not debating. Dr.
So yes,
Finn,
I do support the pardon of the 1,600 people. I do.
Well, 1 second. I'm going to respond to that. I didn't deflect the J6. I literally read your username. It says J6 protester. Of course, I'm going to talk to you about January 6th when your username is J6 protester. Okay, and by the way, if you're saying, well, if I'm not debating it, therefore I can't debate it, well, this whole time you've been trying to go to immigration, meaning that you don't want to debate J6, therefore you can't debate J6, therefore I want you to concede that you can't debate the topic in accordance with your own logic.
Like I said, I support the pardon of the people of the 1,600 people, but you want me to defend each individual's actions. I can't defend each individual's actions. If one MAGA Trump supporter beat up a police officer, yes, condemn him. I don't care.
Wait, if you support the pardons,
Sit here and defend every single action committed on Jan 6. If you support BLM, do you support every single action committed by a BLM protester?
if you support the pardon of DJ Rodriguez, then how could you potentially condemn the action of DJ Rodriguez? And more so, if you condemn the action of DJ Rodriguez, then why do you support the pardon of DJ Rodriguez?
And again, I told you I haven't heard of DJ Rodriguez. I can look it up for you, but
do it.
Again,
Like,
just
why
because
would-
you
why
support a
would you-
single group doesn't mean you support every single person's actions. Just like if you were to support BLM, which I'm sure you do, doesn't mean you support every single person's actions that did it. Right?
If I tell you that I support the movement of Black Lives Matter, this isn't me telling you that I support some like actionable offense that ultimately incentivizes and rewards violence, right? However, in actively supporting the 1,600 pardons, but more so the 72 pardons of violent offenders, you are actively supporting an actionable offense that supported and rewarded the violence that we saw on J6. Right? There's a whole lot of difference between supporting the action of letting people out of jail that committed violent crimes and supporting the political ideology that Black Lives Matter. And for you to attempt to equate the two, A, demonstrates how bad faith of a debater you are, and B, demonstrates your ability to track a conversation without making a pivot.
Wait, you're accusing me of pivoting?
Yes.
That's really weird when you asked me what my main reason was and then you deflected to Jan 6. And here I am literally telling you my point of view at Jan 6. And you want me to you want to tie me to some person's actions. It's like, cool, I can tell you I don't support it.
I'm just simply asking you a question. That's all.
Am I wrong agreeing with Trump, or am I supposed to agree with every single thing he does?
Well, I mean, you told me that you agree with this thing because you agreed with the pardons. And the question for you is, if you agree with the pardons, then how could you disagree with what they did? Or more so, how can you disagree with what they did and agree with their pardon?
Because it was 1,600 people pardoned. And I do think people who just step foot into the Capitol shouldn't be arrested or put in federal prison or be mistreated in federal prison.
Okay, so you don't agree with all the pardons?
No, I would have to look at each individual case of the 1,600 cases.
Right. So
I think it's much easier to just agree.
I'm specifically talking about the 72 to 74 pardons that were of individuals that tried to kill cops on the steps of the Capitol.
That's a crazy claim that they were trying to unalive cops. But would you say that BLM was trying to unalive cops?
Yeah,
would you say that, Dean?
We'll happily talk about BLM after we finish.
Would you say that, Dean? Answer the question. If BLM got into the fight, they did, get into fights with police officers, is that them trying to unalive them? Okay. Or is that them defending themselves, like you would claim, defending themselves against violent police officers?
So point number one, you're attempting to say that people are BLM. BLM is not a person. BLM is a political ideology.
Yeah, just like MAGA isn't a...
And point number two, right, I'll happily engage in a conversation with you about BLM once we finish our conversation about J6.
Yeah, we're talking about your stance and your opinions. So if you were to say that BLM is justified in defending themselves from violent police officers, much like the left and you have often said, why would you not why are you saying these people were trying to unalive cops? We know that's not true. If they were trying to unalive cops, a lot more cops would have been unalived.
I guess
it's weird that no cops unalived that day. Isn't it weird?
I guess I'll try to set the record straight.
Wait. So how come no cops?
Sorry, you're bombarding me with questions. That's what we call a steamroll. So you're asking me about BLM, and then you're asking me about cops at the Capitol, and if they try to kill them, then how come no cops died? All right. Well, the reason I'm saying that they try to kill them is predicated off of the actions that they engage in. Like I said, DJ Rodriguez drove a stun gun into Officer Fanone's neck, giving him a heart attack, which then led to Officer Fanone being rushed to the hospital. And by the way, the only reason why DJ Rodriguez was able to get Officer Fanone's stun gun is because Officer Fanone was distracted by another rioter trying to take his gun out of his service belt, and while the crowd was screaming, get his gun and kill him, while Officer Fanone was also on the ground being beaten with metal rods by the rioters. Okay? So I understand that Officer Fanone didn't die. Okay. However, I believe when we evaluate and observe all the facts that I just described of Officer Fanone being on the ground, being beaten with metal rods, having the crowd shout, "Get his gun and kill him," having somebody actually try to get his gun, with them failing unsuccessfully because Officer Fanone's attention was on that, well then not on DJ Rodriguez, who got a stun gun, then drove it into his neck. If that set of facts, right, doesn't prove, right, that those individuals were trying to kill Officer Fanone, then you're delusional and just simply not acquainted with reality, and wake the fuck up. All right? Now to your first point about BLM, right? Because you are such an incredible pivot princess, all right? Here's what I'll say to that. If anybody at any BLM protests, right, walked up to a cop, started beating them with rods, got their fucking stun gun, drove it into their neck, right, and then gave the officer a goddamn heart attack, yeah, they should go to jail and they shouldn't be pardoned.
So I think you're misquoting a lot of things. So the Officer Fanone, he unalived from natural causes, which was strokes.
Officer Fanone's dead?
And it says not directly from the attack.
I didn't even know that he was dead. I thought he was alive. He's dead?
Yeah, he died like multiple days later from natural causes. So these officers you're claiming that were killed in Jan 6 literally unalived from natural causes.
What? I didn't even know that. No, I don't.
You
I don't.
did. You
I don't
literally
think,
said he unalived the cop.
No, I don't even think that you're tracking what I'm saying. No, I said that DJ Rodriguez drove a stun gun into the neck of Officer Fanone and then gave him a heart attack. I honestly,
this guy unalived from natural.
I thought that Officer Fanone lived.
No.
Okay, I think this makes your case a little worse.
No, because he unalived from natural causes, not from anything that was done to him.
Okay, yeah, just unaliving from natural causes 2 days after you get a heart attack because somebody drives a stun gun into your neck? I'm not really convinced that Officer Fanone's dead. I think he's alive.
It says he unalived the next day from natural causes. Per the DC medical examiner, it says not directly from any attack. So
nope,
that's what I'm saying. Like you can argue that these people did fight with police officers.
Listen, no.
Yes.
Officer Fanone's alive.
It says right here he's unalive for me.
What's your source?
Or the DC medical examiner.
Okay, I look up DC medical examiner, then what?
Oh wait, this is officer. Wait, who's the officer that Rodriguez attacked? Is it Brian Sicknick or is it?
What name have I said about 1 billion times?
Michael Fanone. Well, you said DJ Rodriguez. He's the one. That's what I'm saying. What cop did he attack?
I've only told you 1 billion times. Do you remember?
Because the attack was on Officer Michael Fanone.
Right.
Officer Brian Sicknick is the one that passed away from something else, I guess, not from.
Thank you for clarifying that you were wrong. Appreciate it.
It was from another person that was also pardoned that like pepper sprayed him or something.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. Like no officers unalived that day. A Trump supporter unalived that day. So I mean, you can sit here all day and point to bad things that happened that day. I don't agree with everything they did. So
okay,
I mean, I don't see how you're making a point.
As long as Officer Fanone didn't die after DJ Rodriguez drove a stun gun into his neck, then you don't really care if DJ Rodriguez got pardoned.
I already told you I disagree with him being pardoned.
Okay, so why do you think Donald Trump pardoned?
But I can agree with the other 1,599 cases.
Why do you think that Donald Trump would pardon, right, him and like 74 other people that like assaulted cops? Like, doesn't this like obviously prove that Donald Trump doesn't?
Because they were part of the 1,600 people that were arrested on January 6th.
Right,
and again, this just goes back to hypocrisy on your side.
No, this goes back to hypocrisy on your side because this demonstrates that Donald Trump doesn't really care about violent crime. Donald Trump doesn't really back the blue. Donald Trump doesn't really back the courts, right? And yet you say that all those things are true about him, and that's why you support him, right? So I think that this draws out a lot of hypocrisy on your side.
No, honestly, the hypocrisy is the fact that left.
I think that you would have
represented.
I think that you would have learned this by now because this is your third or fourth time on the live. Don't think I forgot you, Mr. Torta Patrol. You've been up here 4 times before.
I fucking destroyed you the first time, so I'm here again. And you're trying to pivot to Jan 6.
Yeah, but real quick, Chad, is this guy destroying me?
It's critical that you're saying this.
Is this intellectual titan down here really like working my shit right now?
No, because you're pivoting.
One second.
You're not very good at this.
I fucking destroyed you.
You're just like,
do you really support this egregious act by this single person, dude? This guy literally drove a stun gun into a police officer's neck. Do you support that?
No, sir, I don't. Like,
So
amazing fucking
Donald Trump
points. You're
supports
really
it.
destroying me with your logic and sources.
So
So let
Donald
me
Trump
ask you
supports
this:
it. So
Are you against?
if you don't
against
support it-
Democratic representatives,
I don't understand why you're trying to pivot.
BLM supporters?
I don't understand why you're trying to pivot, sir. Just we're not quite done.
We're still talking about the same thing. Are you okay with people?
We're not
paying
We're
to
talking
bail
about-
out BLM supporters that literally
talking
unalive
about-
people?
We're talking about J6, okay? But fine, whatever. I'll entertain.
Yeah,
the
and
pivot.
pardoning, right? And you're okay with people being bailed out that were arrested during the BLM riots?
So I don't really agree with if there's an overwhelming amount of evidence that somebody is a murderer, I don't really think that they should have cash bail, right? For violent crimes that have a lot of overwhelming supportive evidence for, I don't agree with them being bailed out. So there's the answer to that question. But that question was a pivot. Also, going back to J6, so that now that you've made it clear, right, that you do not agree with DJ Rodriguez, right, trying to kill that cop on the steps of our Capitol, well, then the question for you is, how could you possibly support Donald Trump as president, given that not only does Donald Trump agree with what DJ Rodriguez did, because he rewarded it, called him a patriot, right? But how could you support him as president for that reason?
I'm not a single issue voter.
That Donald Trump is on a broader scale, kind of pro-crime, doesn't really care about violent crime.
I'm not a single issue voter. Did you support every single thing Kamala Harris was running on?
No, I didn't support every single
Exactly.
thing.
So how could you support her then, Dean?
Of course, because
if you don't support every single thing,
because I'd be able to identify. I'll tell you. Because I'd be able to identify the cons of Kamala Harris's presidency, and then I'd be able to describe how the pros outweighed them, right? Or they were better than the relevant alternative of Trump, right? So what I'm going to ask you to do is, now that we've identified a huge con of Trump, that huge con being that he doesn't care about crime, how could you possibly still support him as president? Tell me how the pros outweigh that.
so you voted even though you knew you didn't agree with everything she did, right? Exactly like I did. So the thing is, you're weighing some random person being pardoned versus bad policies and good policies.
So
this person being pardoned doesn't affect.
It's not merely the random person being pardoned, right? It's the ideological underpinnings that led to that random person being pardoned. Those ideological underpinnings literally being, right, a lack of a care of crime.
A lack of a care of crime.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
I don't
dude.
think that Donald Trump cares about crime at all.
Do you think all those 1,600 people that walked into the Capitol that day should be in jail in federal prison right now?
I haven't evaluated their individual circumstance to determine if all 1,600 rioters would be warranted with having 5 years in jail. But once again, another pivot, right? Because I asked you a question and you didn't respond to it, right? You asked me if I agree with everything that Kamala Harris has ever done. I told you no. There's cons about her campaign that I could identify. And then I explained to you how, right? In doing the calculus to determine if I wanted to vote for her or not, right? I determined that either the pros outweighed the cons or they were still yet better than the relevant alternative of Donald Trump. So I'm now asking you to do that same calculus as it would relate to Trump. Please tell me,
except this
right,
happened
the pros-
after I voted.
Please tell me. Please tell me, what does this say? It doesn't say, why did you vote for Trump? It says, how do you still support Trump today? So please, also, he promised to do this 2 years
Because
before you
again,
voted
like
for
you
him.
said, it outweighs the cons, and this isn't a huge.
He promised to do this 2 years before you voted for him, so you
This
knew
isn't
he
a
would
con
do
for
this.
me. The 1,600 people being pardoned, I support. The one guy out of the 1,600 that I think should be in jail, that's not a huge con for me. Versus again, securing the southern border and saving him.
I'm still talking. Can you please wait for me to finish? Because I've been trying to get this point across and ask you this question for a little bit now, and you
Don't
haven't been
crash
able to-
out, dude.
I'm not crashing out. I'm just crashing out isn't me respectfully asking you to allow me to finish. Do you think it is?
I thought you were done. That's why I was responding, and you even were quiet while I was responding, and then you didn't like the answer, so you claimed you were talking, but you weren't.
Are people typically quiet when they're not quiet and actively speaking?
What?
You heard me. You just said I was quiet. No, I was actively talking.
You definitely weren't, just like you are right now. So I'm going to answer you again.
Okay. Well, I haven't finished
I'm not
the
a single
question.
issue voter.
So I'm gonna try to finish the question, but you literally have
Okay, go ahead.
a lack of an ability to allow me to. All right, thank you so much. So I'm gonna try this one last time, just because it's getting a little bit repetitive, having to repeat myself and then having you interrupt me midway through. We will try again though, all right? Because I believe in productive linear dialogue. Starting from the top, you asked me if there was any cons I could identify about Kamala Harris prior to the election. Okay, you then responded to that by telling me, or then I responded to that by telling you that yes, there was cons that I could identify about Kamala Harris prior to the election. And I was like, well, the reason I still voted for her, even though she had those cons, was I think that there's either pros that overwhelm the cons, or I still yet think that it was better than the relevant alternative of Trump. So the question I'm asking you is, now that we've identified that Donald Trump doesn't care about crime, pardon violent criminals, criminal himself, adjudicated rapist, so on and so forth, okay, constitutional a catastrophe, so on and so forth. What are the pros that overwhelm him not caring about crime that in your mind still justifies him as a good president?
And I explained to you that I support the pardon of the 1,600 people. I don't think him pardoning one person that I disagree with, or two, because I don't agree with George Santos being pardoned either, doesn't outweigh the pros of why I support him. And again, the pros of why I support him is securing the southern border, reinstating migrant protection protocols, remain in Mexico, ending catch and release, ending the CBP-1 Act for asylum seeking, everything he's doing with the foreign policy, everything he's doing with trans athletes and the trans agenda. I support everything that he's doing. Everything outweighs him pardoning some guy that I probably think maybe should be in jail because he beat up a cop. Okay. So does that answer your question, Dean?
Yeah. So kind of not really, because the point wasn't, well, that he had the single like pardon of DJ Rodriguez, but once again, for the last time, I'll repeat, it's the ideological underpinnings that led to his pardon of DJ Rodriguez, which is him not caring about like disorder and crime, right? And the reason why this is like significantly of it holds significant gravity is it's because the same ideological underpinning that led to him pardoning DJ Rodriguez and the other 74 individuals that committed violent crimes on the steps of the Capitol is also what led to his fake electorate plot of the 2020 election, where he attempted to steal the election from Joe Biden and then admitted to it in court. It's also what led to him infringing on the First Amendment by saying that it's now illegal to criticize him in the media, saying that he wants to ban the burning of the American flag. It's what led to him directing his DOJ to find a way to infringe on the Second Amendment when he told them to find a way to ban all gun ownership for trans Americans. It's directly what led to him infringing on the 14th Amendment when he signed Executive Order number 14160 into law the first day in office when he attempted to ban birthright citizenship for the children of undocumented immigrants born on American soil. And it's directly what led to him threatening to terminate the 22nd Amendment when he said he wanted to run for a third term, even though he's not constitutionally eligible per the plain text of the 22nd Amendment. It's also what led to him committing 34 felonies, and then when he was found guilty, saying that he didn't actually commit them and he was all lawfare. It's what led to him raping Eugene Carroll. It's what led to him going on Howard Stern's podcast and boasting about perving on the naked bodies of underage girls, sexually exploiting them and naked women. It's what led to this and more, right? So the message that I'm trying to communicate to you is it's not as simple and it's not as minute as him pardoning one violent offender, okay? It is a catastrophe.
Well, I don't know if you didn't know, Dean, but the president can't change the Constitution. The president can't change the Constitution, so no, he's not violating the Constitution by signing that executive order. But also, Dean, it's weird because in that last conversation we had, you told me that someone can violate the law as long as it doesn't violate their moral.
Wait. You said the president can't change the Constitution. Therefore, when he signed
through an executive order, yeah.
Therefore, when he signed an unconstitutional EO into law, he wasn't breaking the Constitution. I have a question. Can a private citizen such as yourself change the law?
No.
So therefore, when you break the law, you're not actually breaking the law since you can't change the law? That makes no fucking sense.
What?
Exactly my point. Because
that doesn't make any fucking sense, Dean.
Exactly.
You're trying to say that Trump violated the Constitution.
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. You said that even though Donald Trump broke the Constitution when he signed
an executive... He didn't break the Constitution. What?
I can make it clear how he did.
He didn't break the Constitution by signing an executive order.
Yes, because the executive order violated the 14th Amendment. Oh. I didn't mute you. I think we lost you. What's that?
He didn't break the Constitution, Dean, by signing an executive order.
Yeah, because the executive order was unconstitutional.
The Supreme Court ruled that, or did you?
Well, actually, yeah, the Supreme Court ruled in Puerto Rico that undocumented immigrants are within the jurisdiction of the American government. And then the Supreme Court ruled in U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark in 1897 that undocumented immigrants are subject to the jurisdiction thereof by merely defining what subject to
Wong Kim Ark wasn't about illegal immigrants.
Okay, but if you read the footnotes from Justice Gray...
Okay. Wait, so Dean, in that last conversation we had...
You interrupted me again. I was trying to answer your question, and then you interrupted me. Can you please stop doing that?
Yeah, let me know when I can respond without you crashing out.
What, do you think I'm crashing out by just simply asking you to wait to speak until I'm done?
You just like always seem highly upset, but it's okay.
I seem upset?
Yes, all the time.
Wait. So like I seem upset right now.
Oh, don't pivot. Don't pivot. Just keep going with what you were saying so I can respond.
I'm so sorry. If you don't want me to respond to the things that you say, then don't say them to begin with.
Exactly. That's why I'm trying to respond to the shit you said.
Like you're saying that I seem upset right now, even though like I'm speaking in like a calm tone, right? Like I have
Dean,
like,
we can
civil
see
demeanor.
you. You forget that we can like see your physical, like how you're acting and how you hold your face. You're upset, but it's okay.
Well,
We're just having a conversation here.
I don't forget that people can see me. Like I have like 20,000 live viewers right now. Of course, I remember that everybody could see me. But I think what I'm trying to get at here is like you're trying to convince me that I'm upset, even though I'm speaking in a calm demeanor, right? I'm
people that are upset can be talking calm.
It's funny because the person that's accusing me of being upset has now interrupted me 4 times in the last 30 seconds. So who is it, me or you?
You interrupt me and I don't get upset.
Oh, exactly. Well, it seems like you would be the one that is
So, Dean, in that
by attempting to project your upsetness onto me, causing me to mute you because I have to in order to be able to get a word out. But anyways, so if me speaking in like a calm demeanor and like holding my composure is me being upset, how upset was like Donald Trump in the middle of the night last night when he posted an AI video on Truth Social of him dropping shit on protesters in New York City?
He was probably laughing really hard because that video was funny. So
right.
Conversation.
Anyway, I'm gonna go back to what I was saying. So he said, well, did SCOTUS rule that his executive order was unconstitutional? Well, SCOTUS has ruled that undocumented immigrants are subject to the jurisdiction thereof, and there's only 3 criteria to have. There's only 3 criteria to be eligible for birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment. The 3 criteria are being born in this country, being a person, and being subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Because of Plyer v. Doe and U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark, we know that undocumented immigrants are subject to the jurisdiction thereof. And we also know that they're people, and if they're born in the country, then they're born in the country, meaning therefore they do qualify for birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment, meaning therefore Donald Trump's executive order saying otherwise was unconstitutional. And if that doesn't justify it as is, I mean, just look at the multiple circuit and federal courts that ruled it as such in like the 3 months following him signing it into law on January 1st. Sorry, 21st. Go ahead. I'm really happy I could get a full argument out there. Very nice. Good job.
Yeah. So again, the president doesn't hold power to change the Constitution. He's just does policy through executive order. And when the Supreme Court takes that birthright citizenship case and sides with President Trump, what are you going to say?
Okay. Well, you're not responding to my argument. Are you scared?
I just did. So you can argue all you want that Kim
Can you repeat my argument? It didn't really sound like you were listening.
You said that the Supreme Court has ruled that illegal immigrants fall under the 14th Amendment subject to jurisdiction thereof. I think everyone knows that, considering the fact that we have birthright citizenship for them. I think everyone knows that currently, under right now, anyone born in the U.S. has birthright citizenship. I think everyone knows that.
That's not technically true. Well, yeah, I'm going to be technical with you because you're trying to like rage bait and attempt to gaslight me into thinking that,
I'm trying to rage bait,
emotional and whatnot. So I'm going to be like super technical with you.
Been able to make a point without you interrupting.
So you just said like right now, like everybody born in this country is birthright citizenship. Well, I mean, if you've actually like read your case law, then you know, according to Justice Gray and the other justices of SCOTUS in the U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark case, that if you're a foreign diplomat or a member of a military force, then you don't have birthright citizenship. So you're wrong. I just wanted to make sure I could educate you there. It sounds like in the first part of that statement, you conceded that yes, undocumented immigrants right now, per the current interpretation from SCOTUS, do have a right to birthright citizenship. So all that means is that when Donald Trump signed executive order number 14160 into law, attempting to say otherwise, attempting to say that they don't have that right, yeah, that was him infringing on the Constitution. Right?
No, because he can't change the Constitution, Dean.
Okay, right. I don't understand like why you think because he can't change the Constitution, therefore if he
that's
violates
making it so the Supreme Court takes the case.
I'm gonna say this without you interrupting me. I don't understand why you think just because he can't change the Constitution means that he can't violate the Constitution. Right? Like we just like ran you through this. You can't change the law. Does this mean you can't violate the law? Obviously not.
He wasn't even trying to change it. He was just addressing the fact that under our jurisdiction isn't for illegal immigrants. That's what he was pointing out. He wasn't pointing out, hey, we should change this, change the wording on that. He's saying, hey, according to this, they're not under our jurisdiction. That was his argument. And the Supreme Court, again, it hasn't changed anything, has it? Has it changed anything, Dean?
No, because federal courts have ruled it as
okay, perfect.
Because that's what it is.
Dean, in our last argument.
Wait, did you listen to the last part of my statement there? Right? The reason why this isn't in effect is literally because it's unconstitutional and it was ruled as such. That just proves that it's unconstitutional because so many courts agreed with me and ruled it as such.
and I told you the Supreme Court's going to rule on it. Like, I'm not arguing.
I just
with
told you that they already have. You can't even follow like the world's easiest argument, bro. Like, holy shit, you're so fucking brain rotted. Like I said, go read Justice Gray's footnotes in U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark. All right, where Justice Gray said, and I quote, that being subject to the jurisdiction thereof, right, is not more substantial than being within the jurisdiction thereof. And even if you like are from another state, from another country, right, if you are domiciled in America, then you are subject to the jurisdiction thereof. That is literally a quote from Justice Gray in U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark that was actually reaffirmed, as I already said, in Plyer v. Doe in 1987, where they ruled that undocumented immigrants were within the jurisdiction thereof, and they even referenced, right, Justice Gray's comments on U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark in defining what that meant. Okay, SCOTUS has already ruled twice, okay, that undocumented immigrants are eligible for protection under the 14th Amendment, given that they're subject to the jurisdiction thereof, which of course means they have birthright citizenship. I'm so sorry that you haven't done your research on case law. I'm so sorry that you've never read the 14th Amendment in your life, but I am really happy that I could come on live and educate you today about the unconstitutional practices and behaviors that we've seen the Trump administration engaging in since literally day one, which is when they signed this executive order into law. So do you understand now what I mean when I'm telling you that when Donald Trump signed executive order number 14160 into law, that yes, this did infringe and violate the Constitution because it was unconstitutional as nature, as it attempted to state that per this executive order, right, if you are the child born to an undocumented immigrant on American soil, you do not have a right to birthright citizenship, even though it's guaranteed to them by the Constitution and has been since 1865, and then was clarified by SCOTUS in one way or another, directly or indirectly twice, in U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark in 1897 and Plyer v. Doe in 1987.
It's funny you bring up case law, because if you knew what you were talking about, you'd be talking about Plyer versus Doe, not Wong Kim Ark, because Wong Kim Ark was about, like you said, foreign diplomats. The actual case you would be looking for would be Plyer versus Doe, which is the one where it's actually about illegal immigrants. So again, I don't know why you're losing the debate so bad that you think stating the fucking obvious is a dub. I think everyone knows that currently illegal immigrants get birthright citizenship. Yes, Dean, we all.
Listen to this fool real quick. This is funny. Listen to this. To the 14th Amendment, given that they're subject to the jurisdiction thereof, which of course means they have birthright citizenship. I'm so sorry that you haven't done your research on case law. I'm so sorry that you've never read the 14th Amendment in your life, but I am really happy that I could come on live and educate you today about the unconstitutional practices and behaviors that we've seen.
Isn't for illegal immigrants.
Or even work with ruled that undocumented immigrants were within the in U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark. That was actually reaffirmed, as I already said, in Plyer v. Doe in 1987, where they ruled that undocumented immigrants were. Dude, holy shit. So I bring up Plyer v. Doe, and then he's like, well, if you knew what you're talking about, then you'd bring up Plyer v. Doe. Actually, could we all like join in with the W guess in the comment section? Let's all spam some W guess right now, right? Because the guest said, Dean, you know what you're talking about. W guess in that chat. Let's go to move on to the next guest. Go ahead and drop the W guess in that chat, all right? You know, because we ended that discussion with him telling me that I know what I'm talking about. W fucking guess. I'm being dead ass. I want to see nothing but W guess in that comment section because we ended the debate on him conceding because he told me that I know what I'm talking about. Hell yeah. W guess down below in that chat. We're going to go to get that next Trump supporter loaded up in that box right now. I appreciate that, man. Thank you for the concession. Very kind of you. I'm happy to see that you're a humble, good faith interlocutor that can concede when you recognize you're wrong. Let me know if you want to come back at any point for more education. I'll be happy to give it to you. I thank you, Azrael Gaming, for the $10 over on Super Chat. Appreciate you for that love, Azrael Gaming. That is incredibly kind of you. We are going to go and get that next Trump supporter loaded up into the box right now. W guess, for real. Let's go to get that next guest connected in right now. We got Trump is my God connecting. I really hope that this is a troll account. Hey, what's up? You support Trump?
Yo, what's up, Dean? What's up?
Are you in the bath?
What's up, Dean? What?
Are you in the bath?
No.
Okay. Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 18.
Okay. And why do you support Trump?
Because I think he's a great president and I think he's my God. So I think that's the best argument I can give you. But here's another argument I can give you. Trump is an actor.
Bad. Absolutely banned. Bro, what are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? Laura, thank you for the $5 over on PayPal. Laura with the $5 says you are a breath of fresh air and my new favorite person. Thank you for the love, Laura. As well as Laura, another Laura, thank you for the $5.
Dean, where's the vape?
It's an anxiety pin, but it's in my lap. Do you support Trump?
Yep, I still do. 19.
Okay. Let me thank a couple people. Jonathan, I'd also like to thank you for the $5 over on PayPal. And Kaylee, thank you for the $5 as well. Huge shout out to Lara, Laura, Jonathan, and Kaylee. Appreciate you guys so much for your kindness. As well as Michelle, thank you so much for the $30 over on PayPal 8 minutes ago. Thank you so much, Michelle. Michelle? I don't know. It's spelled Michaela. Michelle with the $30 says thank you for all that you do. I appreciate you. Thank you, Michelle. And shout out to you and your boyfriend. As well as Leonard, thank you for the $10 on Venmo for quote-unquote intelligence. Appreciate you for that love, Leonard. Then Angelina with the $10. I appreciate you so much for the love. And Sandra, thank you for the $15, who says, it blows my mind that people continue to support Donald Trump, keep knocking sense into people with education. Thank you so much for your kindness. If you're watching right now and you want to support me and what we do here on stream, you could find my Venmo, my PayPal on top of the screen.
Chop, buddy. Come on.
Okay. All right. Back on mute. You can find my Venmo, my PayPal, found within the link tree in my bio on TikTok, as well as at the top of the phone screener now on TikTok, as well as found in the pinned message over on that YouTube stream. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Very, very impatient young man. Very typical for MAGA.
Yapping.
All right. Yes, I understand.
All right.
That more than 5 words on paper with crayon is yap. Yes.
Buddy, you were talking a while. Don't even lie.
All
right. So, shut up now. All right. So this is what's going to happen. I'm going to ask you a question. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a question, right?
I muted you.
Here you go with the muting shit. So the last guy cooked the fuck.
Shut up.
Buddy.
Shut up. Go ahead.
Rage bait. You're just rage baiting, bro.
I was rage baiting. Go ahead.
All right. So
you're saying the last guy cooked me?
He did.
How did he cook me?
Let's talk about a new topic.
No, I'm being serious. How did he cook me?
Buddy, you kept muting him every second.
Okay.
He literally cooked you so hard he kept hitting your vape, bro. That's how you know.
This is the issue. I think that Trump supporters, including yourself, think incredibly like one-dimensionally. It's if mute then losing. But the fact of the matter is, I would mute him because he was very incessantly interrupting me. And I think that like interruptions aren't always wrong. I think that you could have productive interruptions and warranted interruptions. But like obviously, like many of his weren't. However, right, what I'd ask you here is like if like you believe that he cooked me, right? Could you please like be very specific with like the substance of the conversation that I was having with him?
You wouldn't have muted him. You wouldn't have muted him as much as you did if he wasn't. It's that simple.
Okay. Well, go ahead and prove that by like clarifying the substance of the conversation I had with him by denoting one point that he clearly cooked me on.
I wasn't watching that long, but you can't mute, bro. I never seen you mute someone in my life.
You can't name one point that he cooked me on, but I guess he won.
You can't. Why'd you keep muting him though?
I just told you because he kept interrupting me.
He let you talk.
I find that to be a false statement. I don't believe that he let me talk.
He let you talk.
I find that once again for the last time.
Right when he started talking.
For the last time, see, you were trying to just brute force your view onto me and everybody else watching, even though you have no reason to find it to be the case. See, now I'm going to mute you for the same reason I muted him, because you interrupted me. Right? What you're trying to do, it's a very interesting debate tactic that is very typical amongst like incredibly unintelligent individuals. Okay? Right? It's the brute force debate tactic, where when you have a point that you want to prove, you just push it, even when I'm giving you reason to find it to be false. So like for the last time, you were saying that I got cooked and that the last guest won. I asked you to clarify on one singular point, right, that he cooked me on, and you couldn't name it. And then you even said that you weren't really watching. Well, if you weren't really watching, then you wouldn't know that he cooked me, especially considering the fact that you can't name a single point that he won on. And then you went on to say that you believe he cooked me because I muted him multiple times. All right. Well, the fact of the matter is, for the same reason I'm muting you again right now, the fact of the matter is, the reason that I muted him is because he was interrupting me mid-sentence. And I've gotten to a point where I find it to be significantly more conducive towards a productive dialogue for me to instead request for somebody to stop interrupting me, to just mute them and make them be quiet so I could finish my point. So unless you are going to give me one piece of substance with a clear point that last guest was able to effectively cook me on, right? Me and everybody else knows that you're just trying to rage bait by coming up here with fake claims you have no reason to believe.
All right, so let's go back to the actual topic.
Thank you for the concession. Right? Go ahead and tell us why you support Trump.
Yeah,
Good
sure,
point.
bud. I don't know. Someone just called me. My bad. All right, so do you support Democrats?
Do I support Dems? Yeah, I am a Dem.
So you support all of them?
Do I support every single Democrat ever? Like, well, no, I don't support every single Democrat ever.
All right, that's good. At least you're not completely delusional. So how do you feel about the protests that was going on?
Yeah, no, King's Day was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. Everything about it was awesome.
Everything about it? Well, I mean, like, what I'm familiar about the protest was pretty awesome, yeah.
Did you see that one girl that was pretending to shoot herself in the neck? That
No.
teacher? You didn't see that clip?
Nope.
There was a teacher. There was a Trump supporter going there to protest the protest.
Did you see?
And then she went
I
out.
have a question. Did you see the young
Yeah.
Republicans that were in a group chat and they were saying that they love Hitler and that rape is epic? And then did you see the vice president go on Twitter and say that he doesn't care?
Yeah, I did see that. I never said that was right, though, did I?
Uh-huh.
But what's worse, though, making fun of someone's death or saying that?
Oh, objectively saying that you love Hitler and you think rape is epic.
So you think? All right, that's crazy to say.
What? How is?
So you
wait,
think
wait. I would. Yeah. How is that crazy? What?
Well, how is it not? So you're literally saying somebody getting shot in the neck for talking.
Listen. One is like, right, in like many scenarios, like could be like incredibly like antisocial and weird, right? But the other is just like straight up like violent, right? Like it is violent to say that rape is epic, right? Like promoting that like leads to like more rape. Saying that I love Hitler, you're saying that you love somebody, right? That like was able to that genocided over 12 million individuals. Right? And then, like, the fact of the matter is, you're now comparing a private citizen to the vice president of the United States of America.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Do you think that there's a little bit of a difference between
did
some
you hear what
private
you just said,
citizen,
though? I don't think
right,
you
pretending to shoot themselves in the neck, right, and then the vice president of America saying that he doesn't care about young Republicans saying that they love Hitler and that rape is epic?
Hold on. Someone in the chat just said I'm not 19. Buddy, I am 19, but okay.
So don't you think there's a little bit of a difference between those two things, my friend?
You just said, before I don't think you realized you were talking so quick, you just said that that group chat promotes rape. That's going to promote rape. You said that, right?
Okay. You're not responding to what I said.
What'd you say?
I'm gonna say this for one last time. If you don't answer to me, if you don't respond to me, I'm gonna go and move on to the next guest. And I'm gonna be honest. The reason why I'm gonna move on to the next guest is because I'm coming to a point where I'm almost out of patience because you and the last guest.
You're mad.
Well, no, I'm not mad. I'm just like being honest with myself here. I'm beginning to run out of patience because you and the last guest were like both
being mad.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm trying to explain how that's not the case and you're unwilling to listen, which is like one of the reasons why I'm considering removing you from the live, unless like you're willing to actually hear me out for what I have to say.
All right, yeah, talk.
All right. Can you name one policy Donald Trump has ever passed?
Can you name one that Kamala has?
Yeah, sure, the PACT Act. Your turn. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why am I debating with some goddamn 12-and-a-half-year-old without a thought in between their eyes? Let's go to move on to the next guest. All right. Unfortunate. We're going to get that next guest loaded up into the box. We got them loading up right now. Hey, what's up? How old are you?
Wait, oh my gosh. Oh wait, can I just say something?
I'm going to go and assume that you're not a Trump supporter and move on to the next guest, Jeremiah. Oh boy. All right, what's up? Do you support Trump?
Nah, man, but keep up with what you're doing. You're cool, man. Keep it up.
I appreciate you for that love, Jeremiah. That is very, very kind of you. Renee, thank you for the $10 over on PayPal. Appreciate you for that love, Renee. Let's go ahead and load up Renee's message here, as well as Bailey. Thank you for the $5 on Venmo, who says,
Hey, Dean, how are you?
Appreciate you for that love. What's up? Do you support Trump?
You know, man, not anymore, but I just want to say that...
That's awesome. Unfortunately, we are just looking for Trump supporters, so unfortunately, I'm going to move on. But like I said, that is seriously super duper cool. Oh, guys, if you want to help pay for my therapy after today, Venmo, PayPal, link tree in the bio, pin message on YouTube. Holy fucking shit. What's up? Do you support Trump?
I'm still trying to not support Trump.
You do or you don't? I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you there.
I don't support Trump.
W. Moving on to the next guest, we got Chase loading up into the stream. Oh my god. Hey, what's up? Do you support Trump? Chase? Hello? Chase is not here. Goodbye, Chase. Moving on to the next guest. Right now. Okay. It looks like they left too. Go ahead and put a me with your age down below in that comment section if you support Trump. Let me know. as well as Victoria. Thank you so much for the 50 Canadian dollars over on YouTube. Victoria with a 50 Canadian dollars says, here's $50 to spoil your girlfriend and for your patience. Victoria, that is incredibly kind of you. I will be using that to spoil the girlfriend. We need to go shop for our Halloween costumes here pretty soon. And that I'm gonna use that to spoil her. You know what? You're awesome. Let's go and get 500 big Victoria W.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to join.
No worries. You take care. Oh yeah, Halloween's gonna be fun. So me and my girlfriend, we're gonna be going up to Boulder for it. You know, Halloween in Boulder is like a huge deal. And I'm gonna like specifically choose a Halloween costume where nobody will like be able to identify me. So I'll be able to like go to like, you know, the frats, go to like, you know, the parties, right? Celebrate Halloween without anybody recognizing me. It's gonna be fun. What's up, CJ? Do you support Trump? Just why? Thank you for the galaxy. I'm gonna be. My identity is going to be concealed. Dean Halloween stream, yeah, IRL stream. Let's do it. Hell yeah. All right, we're still looking for that next guest, guys. Looking for one Trump supporter to come up here and give us a piece of their mind. So far, we haven't been able to find any. Laura, thank you for the $10 over on Super Chat. Thank you, Laura. That's very, very kind of you. Still looking for that next Trump supporter. If that's you, go ahead and hop in that queue for me. Right now, we're just not having a real easy time finding anyone. Like, let's keep it real, guys. Let's keep it real. Where are they at? All right. We're going to go to get that next guest, Tayton, loaded up into the box. Hey, Anastasia, thank you for the $20 over on Venmo for the copay for the therapy. Appreciate you for that love, Anastasia. Let's show some love to Anastasia down below that chat. Seriously, thank you so much for your kindness. Huge shout out to you. What's up? Do you support Trump, Tayton?
I do.
How old are you?
I'm 20.
Okay, awesome. As well as Joseph, thank you for the $15 on PayPal for my therapy fund. Thank you for the love, Joseph, as well as Caitlin with the $3 and Corday, thank you for the $5. I'd also like to thank, let's see here, Richard, thank you for the $5 over on PayPal. Thank you guys. So go ahead, tell us why you support Trump.
I support Trump mainly for the reason that a lot of the Republican standpoints on things I agree with more, but I wouldn't say I'm a huge Trump fan, but I'm a huge, not huge, but I agree with the Republican side more than I do the Democrat side, but I'm open to learning more. Like, I'm not that educated in a lot of things, so I'd like to learn more.
Okay. So like, yeah, what specifically is Trump doing or has done that you agree with?
I agree with the abortion and the immigration side of the Republican side mostly.
Abortion. So you think that abortion should be banned?
I do. I think it is murder.
Okay. Do you think that abortion should be banned in all circumstances or just selective ones?
No, mostly in using it as like a birth control. It just irks me the wrong way because it's like an actual person that is just, we're just like ceasing them to exist. Like, it just doesn't sound right to me.
Okay. An actual person. So do you think that like zygotes are people?
I think they have the potential to grow to be a person, and we don't know.
Okay, well now I'm confused because you just got done saying that you think they're actual people, and now you're saying, well, they have the potential to be people in the future. So which one is it?
I think they have the potential to be a person, and we shouldn't end their life just because.
Okay, what year were you born in?
2005.
Okay, what month?
March.
Okay. And you're saying that they have the potential to be a person. So what's a person?
Person is someone who has a heartbeat, not breathes, but has a heartbeat. I don't know. Someone who is a person. Like, I don't know.
Has a heartbeat. Okay. So would you say that like cows are people because they have a heartbeat?
I would say it's alive.
Okay, but are they people?
Cows aren't people, but they're alive.
They have a heartbeat. So therefore, having a heartbeat is not what makes you a person.
Okay.
So then, what makes you a person?
I'm not sure, but I think just knowing that the fact that they could grow up to be someone, I don't think that ending their life is okay.
Okay, and that'd make you classify it as murder. Okay, well here's my thoughts about that. So I think what you're saying is like valuable, and like the potential future of like a fetus is going to be like their conscious experience. Okay, right? And you're saying that conscious experience equals right to life, and because a fetus has the ability to potentially be conscious in the future, therefore we should extend them that right to life now. Is that a fair representation of your view?
Yes, I would say that. That
Okay.
sounds right.
But we never give people rights based upon things that they might be in the future. Like, for instance, being 18 equals the right to consent to sex. Because a 10-year-old might be 18 in the future, does that mean that we should extend the 10-year-old the right to consent to sex now? No! They need to actually be 18 before they get that right. Same thing with being 21 equals right to buy alcohol. Just because a 15-year-old has the potentiality to possibly be 21 in the future, doesn't mean that we should extend them the right to buy alcohol now. No! They have to actually be 21 in order to get that right. So I actually agree with you here, right? Consciousness does equal the right to life. I agree that a fetus could be conscious in the future, but like we shouldn't extend them that right now, and they should actually have to be conscious before they get that right, which is like more likely than not to occur at around the 20 through 24 week part with the thymocortical connections.
Okay, that makes sense. So you're saying they should be born first? Is
No, they
is
should
that
just
right?
have like an ability to deploy like low levels of subjective experiences in order for me to think that the fetus is like a morally significant life form.
Okay. I agree with that. But
Okay, so therefore that you're pro-choice, right? Because that's exactly what Roe v. Wade was, protecting women and girls' access to abortion for any reason or no reason at all, up until around the point of viability. Then after that, right, protecting women and girls' access to abortion, specifically in like lethal abortion, specifically in like the circumstance of rape, incest, or life of the mother.
yes, I don't know. I just feel like when I look up how many abortions like are happening, I just feel like it's a lot of lives lost. Like in my perspective, it's like you have no clue who those people could grow up to be. Like,
Yeah, listen. You're saying so like abortion prevents the existence of a potential future person, and that's what
Yeah.
makes abortion wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if my dad pulled out, right, that would have prevented the existence of me, right? So does that mean that it would have been like morally wrong for my dad to pull out?
No.
Oh, wait, why? Because that action
Wait.
prevented the existence of like a future person.
Yeah, but I feel like you weren't a person yet until.
Oh, so therefore that you only think it's
growing
like morally
fetus.
significant, like when it's like actually a person. Well, you already told us that you don't think that a fetus is a person yet. Therefore, you don't think it's wrong to kill a fetus.
Okay. Okay. I would agree with you there.
All right. So on the issue of abortion, you are a Democrat. That's cool.
Yeah, I would say you changed my mind on that instance.
Yeah. Is there any other reasons that make you lean to the right, make you support Trump?
I mean, I do agree with illegal immigrants coming into our country illegally. I think that it's right to. They should come in legally, in my opinion.
Right. Undocumented immigration like is something that's not preferred. Okay, so what is like the good policy that Trump has implemented to stop undocumented entry?
I'm not sure of what Trump's doing, but in a Republican standpoint, I see a lot more Republicans talk about not letting illegal immigrants into our country.
Well, the fact of the matter is it's because Donald Trump has like identified undocumented immigrants as an enemy for his base. He's lied about them, saying they've escaped mental asylums, saying that they've escaped prison, saying that they're violent criminals, saying that they're terrorists, when in all reality, right, he's just using this as a way to build prejudice amongst his base, to scare them away from undocumented immigrants and point towards him as like their savior to keep their support. When in all reality, okay, the reason why we have undocumented entry into this country is because illegal means of entry into America have been slow, neglected, and depraved for like so long, right? So they're unattainable for so many people. Therefore, the only attainable way of entering to America is to enter illegally, right? So obviously, the way to fix the issue of undocumented entry is just simply to make the legal means of entry more attainable. But Donald Trump has never done that, okay? In like the last 10 years, he's never even done as much as spoken at a mic in front of a podium about making the legal means of entry into America more attainable. In fact, what he has done is he's fought to make them less attainable by telling Republicans in Congress to shoot down the bipartisan border bill, right, that was being sent through Congress under the Biden-Harris administration, that would have spent billions of dollars on hiring more judges to run more immigration courts at the southern border to expedite legal claims of asylum, residency, citizenship, so on and so forth, to make those processes more attainable, to naturally disincentivize undocumented entry. And I understand that undocumented entry has gone down really fast under Donald Trump's second term. But that's not because of, as I already said, good policy, but it's because of like literal fascism, right? He's scaring away that entry by promoting the image that if they do enter with the use of undocumented means, then they're going to have their human rights abused, like he abused the human rights of Abrigo Garcia and having him illegally deported and tortured in CCOT, violating the right to due process on behest of like hundreds of Venezuelan immigrants that he deported without due process to El Salvador, and the 510 individual confirmed circumstances of human rights abuse at ICE detention centers in America in the last 8 months.
Yeah, I agree that we should make the legal process to come into the United States better, and I wish we had someone that would target that issue because I do think it is a problem. But that's just my viewpoint on it.
But like the question is like, what is Trump doing about it? What is he doing about it that you like?
I guess nothing.
All right. Okay. Well, is there anything else you want to go over?
No, I'm good. Thank you for not yelling at me because that kind of scared me.
You have a good one. Lauren, thank you so much for the $10 over on Venmo. Appreciate that, Lauren. Lauren says, thank you for teaching and entertaining us. I appreciate you for the $10. Chantel, thank you so much for the $15 over on Venmo. Chantel says, the kids with Ray's dad just think you're influencing the future. Thank you for giving me hope. You know, man, I got to say, Ray's child, that really did bring some happiness to me. It was really cool to see. Thank you for the $15, Chantel. As well as Sandra, thank you for the $5, and Emily with the $5 as well. And Liana, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo too. I really appreciate you guys so much for all your kindness today over on Venmo and PayPal. You guys have been so incredibly supportive. As well as Power, thank you for the $5 over on PayPal saying the live is showing a warning about activity. Yeah, I see that warning that says, quote unquote, consuming substances featured in this live could harm your health. I wonder why. As well as Cord, thank you for the $5 on PayPal, and Richard with the $5 as well. You guys are awesome. All right, folks. Unfortunately, we are going to be ending the debate stream for the night here, just because of the warning that we got, as well as, I'm going to be honest, I have really needed to use the restroom for the last hour and a half, and I haven't been able to find anybody to come in here and cover me, so I'm just going to end the live around 25 minutes early and go do that now. But listen, okay, on the upside, Mr. Parker should be on super duper soon. In the next 30 minutes, he should be starting his stream. So when he hops on, you can find him on @ParkerGetAJob on TikTok and on @ParkerGetAJob on YouTube. But listen, as I say every day, I just really appreciate you guys for showing up and showing out. You know, these streams make me happy. They give me a lot of hope. It's really cool to see so many people engaged and caring about the future of this country and everybody in it. Peace and love, everybody. I may join up on Parker's stream for a little bit to do a little bit of a co-host. But if I don't do that, good night. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace and love, guys, and bye-bye.
Square a little bit.